Testing, testing, testing. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, December 20th, 2016, and we will now begin the Compton City Council meeting, and it is 5:43 p.m. If you could all please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Let us begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Here.
Galvan. McCoy.
Here.
Sharif.
Yeah.
Mayor Brown.
Here. They're on their way, yeah. For our oral presentation, we are going to wait for the presenter to come, but we'll proceed forward with public comments in the meantime. So we will take a pause during public comments to accommodate the presentation, but I did want to let you all know ahead of time. Proceeding forward with public comments on agenda and non-agenda items, Mr. Robert Ray.
Thank you, Robert Ray Compton. I really hope that after our election next year, there's enough left of our city for a new administration to resuscitate, because you guys are killing us. Last Friday, you passed the ordinance that's going to prohibit all new businesses from coming into the city. You look up and down Compton Boulevard, all we have are empty buildings, and you've just guaranteed they're going to stay empty. So I don't know what's going on with that. And tonight, item 4. People, you know what happens when you write a check and there's no money in the bank? It bounces. And that's what you're doing in number 4. Measure P has not passed. It's still in the court. The judge has not decided. And Board of Equalization should never have told cities to raise the sales tax to 10%. That was a mistake. But on your list of projects where you want to use the money, the very first one, it says Central Avenue, $2.2 million. We were told over a year ago the money was already in the bank. It's already there. So that doesn't make sense. And some of the other stuff does and doesn't. And under parks, I'm still waiting for my Alondra Regional Park. It's not on the list. Cameras we do need. But folks, Measure P money, it's wishful thinking. Because as soon as the judge says no, people are going to get refunds. Item number 12. I've been asking and asking what's going on with our ambulances and paramedics, and tonight we're getting an answer. Workforce reduction. Fire department, you're getting a pink slip and a lump of coal for Christmas. It's not right, and I really hope your union is fighting this. Our fire department gave up a lot a few years ago for the city. And now you want to lay them off and go a contract with McCormick. It doesn't make sense. I would not be standing here tonight alive if it were not for our fire department and those paramedics and that ambulance. So we don't need to get rid of them. Also, city clerk, we have people sitting on commissions in our city who do not live in our city. I was just informed one of our commissioners just in the November general election voted from an address in another city, but they're sitting on a commission getting paid. We've got to do a better job of enforcing our rules. And next week, candidates are going to start filing papers. We have to verify residential addresses. We can't just accept an address they put on a piece of paper as fact. They have to be verified. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Mr. City Attorney.
Mr. Ray, if you're referring to the lawsuit that that we're both aware of dealing with Measure P that has been dismissed, if you're referring to another legal action, I have not been notified or served with it, but that original lawsuit contesting Measure P has been dismissed.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Mr. Holyfield?
To the council, mayor, staff, and audience. My name is Benjamin Holyfield, and I'm the president of the Compton Business Chamber of Commerce, and I have something to give to you, and it's concerning the sign. I want to thank the mayor and all those who put in efforts to get our sign situation straightened out. I have been working on it since you got elected, by the way, and you came in and started working on this tonight, and we thank you. But in the right-hand corner, upper corner, and I'd like to have that picture back, please. That was done in 1988 by an artist. The right-hand corner by the Olympic rings happened to be that sign. That's in the sign that we had previously was $239,000, which was removed to put the sign up that's out there now concerning the shopping center. My concern was, and I'll be brief with it, is thousands of people who pass east and west every day didn't even realize they were in Compton. And yet, people are marketing straight out of Compton and so forth all over the world, making money except us. So that was some of the reasons for that. And then I want to leave from that to talk about Compton Boulevard. Compton Boulevard represents 4 council districts. And my word is accountability. This morning, I'm going from Acacia west on Compton Boulevard, and the young man is, I don't know who it was really, because they were sleeping on the sidewalk at 325 West Compton Boulevard. And then you go a little farther at this stop sign, and you look to your right, and all this graffiti and so forth. Real ghetto look. We are sick. I tell you before, we're not going to tolerate this look anymore. The council district, each council person is represented on Compton Boulevard. And it begins right at this dirt pile over there. That's where it begins. You have the 2nd district, the 1st district, the 4th district, and the 3rd. So all you have to do is drive from Avalon or Central east to Long Beach or Atlantic, and you'll know exactly what is going on and who's doing what. We would like to hold those people who are elected, our leaders, responsible. And the word is having accountability. That's what you do. I'm not here to go into any nonsense. I'm not here for any feelings. Love has nothing to do with this business. Nothing. It's about let us clean up Compton. And then another thing, we mentioned that hort job at the creek. Well, I heard the city manager talking about it was being cleaned up, but they never cleaned up, sir, all that trash. They never cleaned up the trash leading south to Alondra. These are the things we need to address on a daily basis. We need somebody out there every day checking. Thank you so much for your time. And again, Mayor, thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Mr. Holyfield, for your hard work and advocacy. I believe this is Ms. Sandra Orozco. One moment, ma'am. We'll accommodate you. Thank you.
Wow, it's been a while. My name is Sandra Rivera Orozco. As you know, I'm a Southeast political activist. I'm a voice for good governance. What else am I? Tenacious, persistent, and I'm a voice, of course, for those who suffer from multiple sclerosis. I want to address the council that I was recently awarded Democrat Woman of the Year, Assembly District 63. And and I soon will be a lobbyist. And I want to entertain a conversation with the council here and the audience that I'm an advocate for medical cannabis. Medical cannabis has saved my life. I was not going to take it because of the misnomers and things that are said about marijuana, but we're talking about medical cannabis, which is people need to get educated on. With that being said, by the end of January, maybe by the time of the proclamation for MS Awareness Month, next year I'll be here, I will probably be walking with a walker, and that is due to medical cannabis. So there needs to be regulations, as we know, and there's a lot of things I'm going to address with the council the next time I come, because I've educated myself a lot with the marijuana industry, which will bring billions of dollars to your city. And I just want to give a shout out to your outstanding captain here, the sheriffs. I'm also the family of the sheriff's department. And I always give a shout out to the sheriffs, which risk their lives every day, and there's a ton of them that have been killed recently. I also want to address my good friend, Mr. Hollyfield. We go way back. I'm straight out of Compton, by the way. And plus, I'm half Puerto Rican, so you don't want to get that out of me. So that being said, Mr. Hollyfield and I, we have a relationship because my father sold our property, which is on Dwight and Compton Boulevard, and still owns it. We sold him the property way back in 1970, 71, around there. And so I always have a heart for the city of Compton, and I'm now a longtime resident of the city of Maywood. And I have an issue to address real quickly. Is I understand that there's a nonprofit group here that is gang affiliated, and I got the video on that through Facebook. And these kids are being taught by these gang bangers the gang signs or whatever, you know, like. Anyway, so that's something I'll address with you. But thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out, and it's good to see you again, Mr. Roscoe.
Always a pleasure of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Rodney Andrews.
Echoing everything Mr. Rosas said, I have multiple sclerosis too, but I'm walking, thank God for that. I want to address a point. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I want to address the point why we don't have an emergency number to call when the city is not functioning Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For example, I was witnessed an incident in District Number 3 on Caldwell and Wellington. The light was out, and this 18-wheeler flew right past. Who was I to call when the city was closed? That's issue number one. Issue number two, you guys do a wonderful job, but I think we should keep Compton Fire Department. I want to call 911 and get the Compton Fire Department. I want to see Compton Fire Department. Besides, you guys have to protect our tax dollars. We already don't have our Compton Christmas parade. Give us our fire department. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Arnie Corlin. Thank you. Mr. Arnie Corlin. Mike Chatham.
Good evening to the mayor, to the city council, and to the elected officials. We bring your attention tonight to what we had issued to us last week regarding the strategic plan that Captain Thatcher talked about. And we noticed in it that there were some concerns, and even some of the seniors who had called us that wanted to address three particular issues. Number one, the solvability of crimes in the city of Compton. It was a little bit somewhat silent as to the nature of the murders that have caused us to be concerned about what's going on in our city. Number two, the solvability of these issues that happen in our city regarding why murders are happening, who's committing the murders, and how quick are we solving them. I have a problem when we don't show some type of results for the money that we're spending for policing services. We're spending somewhere between $20, $21 million, and there's some problems in getting solvability. I didn't see any chart here saying we solve this, we solve that, we're close to solving this, we think we have this, we want to get this done, and there's nothing. Why are we paying for something that we're not getting? I'm concerned about that because with all the work that NAJA and our organizations have done throughout the 10 years that we've been on the beat, certainly we would want to see some action and some results for all our work. Solvability of crimes, murders, selective or detention or some type of staff that represents detectives. No mention whatsoever in this report talks about detectives. Detectives detect crime. They solve crime. You see 48 Hours, you see that all on the news, all on your TV, all on your cable stations. Why are we not having no solvability of these crimes? Yes, you want the community involvement. Yes, you want this. But we pay you, and we want some results. And I have to hear from all the neighbors, the support staff, people that walk our streets, our community leaders, where is the bang for the buck? Got a whole lot of theories here. You got, org charts, you got graphs, you got everything here, but you just don't have what we want. When we go to the store, we buy what we want, right? So we should be able to have that contract modified to be what we want. This is not Clifton's no more. This is what we want. We want solvability, and we want it now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it now? What do we want? We want solvability of the crimes. Something. Cold cases. Just like your friend, Mayor, that came from Pasadena. Cold case. Shot in a red car, in front hood. We don't know where it's at. So let's get some bang for the buck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chatham. Ms. Lamika Horton-Pope, or Commissioner Horton-Pope.
Happy holidays, Mayor, Council
Happy
members.
holidays.
I have some concerns regarding the structure on how the Treasury Department is operating. I hear so many residents get up and speak, but I haven't heard anybody talk about the embezzlement that happened a couple of weeks ago regarding the individual that admitted to embezzling money. Where's the outrage about that? These are our tax dollars. As we know, an employee was arrested for embezzling money and admitted that he had been embezzling for some time. Is there an internal audit in process with this department? Most departments have some type of internal audit that they do. So years cannot go on with someone embezzling money. It's going to be caught in a couple of months if you're actually auditing that department. I am a certified credential auditor. Someone audits my work every 3 months. Why isn't someone auditing this department? Again, do we have an internal audit process in place? Who answers that question? Also, the role of an internal audit is to provide independent assurance that an organization risk management governance and internal control process are operating effectively. It's obvious that this department is not operating effectively because of what is going on in the department. Has there ever been a forensic audit? Who is handling the cash? What type of cash handling procedures do we have in place? So these are questions that I would like an answer to. I'm probably going to come up here every week, because I pay a lot of money where I live at. I live in a home. I pay a high water bill. So I want to know where my money is going. And I want to know when someone is arrested for doing something that they shouldn't be doing, what are we doing as a community to stop it? Some of the individuals that are in office, time is up. It's time to go, We have to put people in office that care about the people, that are going to do something about individuals that do not care about the citizens of Compton. Time's up.
Thank you, Ms. Pope. Mr. Vincent Derrick? Okay. Ms. Kim Kelly? Ms. Kim Kelly? Mr. David Irons? And Mr. City Manager, I'm just going to request a report for next week just on the status of the internal investigation with the issues going on within the Treasurer's Department. Thank you, Ms. Pope, for raising that concern, and I can assure you that the city managers work with the city attorney and also the Treasurer's office immediately to respond and also proceed forward with some auditing, I believe forensic audit as well. So we'll make sure that the public has that information at the next council meeting. Thank you for your presentation.
David Irons.
Thank you, Mr. Irons, for waiting.
You took up a minute of my time. Anyway.
You put your time back.
You took away the bathrooms again at Gonzalez Park. And the day I actually came close to you is because we put a protest against not having bathrooms at Gonzalez Park. And the other day they took a bathroom from Gonzalez Park because somebody died in the bathroom. But if that's the case, if somebody died on their toilet stool in a house, you need to ban bathrooms from everybody's house. We need bathrooms at Gonzalez house. It is very humiliating to watch me watch women and children go into the bushes. This is worse than Jim Crow. I've been pushing this for a long time. I'm tired of people humiliating these women. You need to find out, even though you're about to leave, man, next time you talk to somebody that's going to come and take your place, tell them to put bathrooms at all the parks in Compton. We need bathrooms. Don't treat us like some Jim Crow people. Don't treat me like some Jim Crow people. We need bathrooms at Gonzalez Park. I'm talking about on Sundays when the park is closed. I actually paid for a month because I stopped looking at these women and children going into the bushes. I took it out of my pocket. You don't do this stuff to me. When I was a child, I was going to Mississippi in a car. They wouldn't even let us use the restrooms at the gas station. So this is something that really hurts me to see you, council people, make these women and children go into the bushes. Some not right. If you get another, what you call that thing, city manager, I went through so many supervisors at my job. I forget how many city managers you had. But when you talk to the next city manager, tell them to put some money out there for us to have every park to have bathrooms, because this is some stupid stuff. When our people from Compton go to the park and they cannot use the restroom, something is not right with you. You don't tear down the restrooms, you build restrooms. If you want me to show you how to look on the internet to find a restroom, I will. It's so simple. Look at the restrooms. Look at permanent potties. Look at all that stuff. Something is not right with you all. You tear down hospitals. You tear down all the convenience. Man.
Thank you, Mr. Irons.
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
One comment before you call your next speaker up.
Fast food. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Irons' presentation is just always phenomenal, but he has a good argument. So there was a death in the porta potty at Gonzalez Park. It was I think it was declared a heart attack. So I was under the assumption that they switched out the porta potty. I don't know if they took it and didn't return a new one, but my point here is, Mr. City Manager, if at our next council meeting, if you can bring me an inventory of the equipment that was purchased with grant money almost 2 years ago in Parks and Rec, because if I remember, 2 years ago, we did purchase some, I don't know if they're called fabricated prefab restrooms. So if we did, where are they stored? Because you know, human nature kicks in when you store something for too long. When you go to open those boxes, they're empty. So we need to figure out, take an inventory, take a walk through, and find out where all that equipment is. And if we have some porta potties, I think we need to go ahead and make that a priority in our park, because you don't understand when Mr. Orange start calling and saying what he's getting ready to do in the bushes. But when you have a park that closes at any given time, if a staff member calls in sick, the park is usually closed down. If Sunday comes and somebody worked the extra hours, then on Monday they'll close the park. And it's just not consistent with the opening hours of the park. So if we can, we've been hearing this about the bathrooms at the park for 4 or 5 years now. So I think it's time we take some action to get some potties. And in the meantime, if the porta potty was not replaced, let's make sure that there's a porta potty over there in the next 24 hours at that park, sir. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. We are going to take a break in our public comments to accommodate our presentation that was scheduled. I'd like to call up Prism Realty. We have Brick and Eric here with us to present the proposed signage at Gateway Town Center. And Brick and Eric, as you know, Mr. Holyfield has been working and advocating for some signage at Gateway that denotes Compton for quite some time, so this is a special day for him, and I wanted to acknowledge him at this time. Thank you.
It's our pleasure to be here tonight. Sorry for being late. Ran into quite a bit of traffic, and I apologize.
No
It's
problem.
good to be here. Council members, city manager, staff. We're very excited today to be able to announce that we've been able to add a new addition to our freeway pylon sign at Gateway Town Center. You may remember there's 2 freeway pylons. There's one associated with Phase 1 that has Home Depot and Target on it. First one that we constructed back in 2007. And with a lot of negotiation with the tenants and pursuant to our OEA and all the complicated legal agreements that we have at the center, we were able to finally arrive at a great spot for the city to have their emblem up there right next to GameStop and above Del Taco on one side and above Del Taco on both sides of the center of the sign. The logical orientation would be a nice square to capture the circle of the emblem, and we're very excited to be able to do that. We're working with our sign contractor right now in terms of timing for when we can get that up, but it'll be sometime during the first quarter of next year. If you have any questions about it, we're happy to answer them. We're proud participant in the community and very excited to be able to do this for the city to kind of represent our 10 years that we've been working in the city, and the center has been a big success. At no cost.
Thank you all for coming down, and while we do have you, I wanted to know what is the status of the additional tenants that you have in the last phase?
So that's Pad 8, which is next to Dollar Tree. So Pad 8 is completed construction. We're just waiting to put the power into that building, in which case it'll be ready for the tenants. So we have 3 tenants for that space. We have Steak and Shake, which is taking the large end cap position that also has the drive-through, and I think Mayor and some of the other council people went up to visit the one that's in Victorville. So you guys kind of know what we're getting there. It's a really nice diner that has table service, and eventually it's probably going to have a breakfast service as well, as we understand it. The other tenant is Jersey Mike's on the other end cap, which you may be familiar with, which is a pretty high-end sandwich shop, nationally recognized sandwich tenant. And the last one is a new tenant called On and On, which is it's a new concept. There's 3. This would be the 3rd location, and they are a Korean restaurant that kind of serves in a Chipotle style, where you kind of walk up and get things assembled, and you get your bowl at the end. And we're very excited. They have a store in Torrance and one in Norwalk. That's very good. Yeah. So and they'll probably all be open by the end of the first quarter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then if I can go back to the sign.
Sure.
The last iteration of the signage that I saw, and we were working with different members of your team, had the Compton under the bottom of the signage as an add-on.
So we worked with we were working with our sign vendor, and adding the additional weight to the sign was going to be a structural issue, which we couldn't quite get resolved satisfactorily. So the other option, which is the option that we were able to go forward with, is a panel on the sign. So unfortunately, adding more weight to the sign looked like it was going to be a problem structurally. It wasn't designed that way originally.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'd like to thank you all for working with us as well on trying to accommodate some of the branding that we want to see in the city. And I think that it will be a great opportunity as well for the city to add some additional signage off of the freeway and work with our assembly member to make certain that when people enter on and off the freeway from Compton, that they can actually know that they're in the city of Compton. So we thank you all so much for your great work and for always partnering and supporting the city. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Zarita?
While we have you here, well, that's great news to have the Compton sign added to the sign. And also, while I have you here, I want to just publicly thank you once again for actually purchasing the freeway signs for the fallen heroes from the city of Compton. And it was with no hesitation. And also, I'd like to thank you publicly for the partnership for the Thanksgiving, the hams that you donated to feed some of the homeless in the city of Compton. And, with folks like you, you are truly community partners, and I would just always want to thank you for all your support and all that you do here in the city of Compton. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Madam Mayor.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, yes, Councilwoman Sheree?
I really wanted to thank PRISM for all that you've done, and I was working with you when I first came in and been excited about this. Most certainly excited about the new project that you guys just finished there at the Gateway Town Center. And I'm most certainly looking forward to it opening, and I know the community is looking forward to opening it as well. But you've been a great partner for this city, and I really want to just say thank you for all that you've done and that you continue to do here. Because we need partners like you in order for us to be able to provide the service that we are trying to provide for this community. So it's great having you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Happy holidays.
You as well. Merry Christmas.
Ms. Joyce Kelly? Yes, ma'am. Oh, your name wasn't on the list. Oh, yeah, your name was scribbled out. It looks like. Oh, okay. Well, you can come on up. It looks like the same person that wrote it scribbled it out, but.
Good evening. My name is Martha Baraja, 719 West 138th Street. First and foremost, happy holidays to all. I have negative things to say, and I also have positive things to say. One of the negative things I do have to say, and it's not meant directly at certain individuals, but we need to look at these nonprofits in our city of Compton. I don't know where they come from, why they have a dollar building in our city. Shake them up or tell them to leave. Can we get a report? What are they doing? We no longer want gang members in our city. I don't want them. If you keep bringing them for these different events, it's just for entertainment for certain individuals, not for my children, our school students. So just keep in mind, we have a lot of gang activity in Compton. We no longer want it. So don't parade it in Compton. Take it wherever you come from. Second of all, I'm glad Mr. Eric was here. I personally want to thank them because they donated for 300 families in Compton. They donated the hams. And I also want to thank Ms. Janice Sarita because through your contacts and through your advocacy for what's right, we got what we got. So I want to say thank you to all, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, and whoever wrote my name out, I hope the big, ugly elves get them.
Me too. Miss Joyce Kelly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would have signed as Bishop Kelly, but I don't have a whole lot of time for that. First off, I want to commend Tana and Jana for Breakfast with Santa, and Santa's place area was superb. I got there late, and I apologize, I just couldn't get out any earlier. I went by YAL, the sheriff, to see what was going on. And I had a little friend with me. She said, I feel like a spy. I said, well, we are. But then I saw my church members from the church I've attended or been a member for 50 years, and I knew God was looking, so I saw them too, so I had to volunteer. When I got to Winter Wonderland, there was no parking, so I went to Bill Ivy, had partnered with the church and had food and toy giveaway, and that was nice fellowship. But when I came back to Winter Wonderland, I didn't see an ice skating rink. The people at Dollar Height were very upset that there was no Christmas tree, and I see you guys have poinsettias here. I went to City Hall, and I ran into the clerk. And I know when I saw the city attorney, I had a big smile on my face because they always want to help, and also the treasurer. So I thank these three for the people at Dollar High because they were chewing out the receptionist there. I don't know how you could have neglected the Christmas parade. And then you neglected the seniors altogether. Well, I guess it's because somebody without children, maybe they don't think about it. But the thing is, the seniors are too old to decorate. And for me to see the city attorney in his suit climbing the ladder was just overwhelming. I was really thrilled. But let me tell you about this Major P, you know what. This is ridiculous. Don't vote on a bond. We don't need another bond. Do not give this dictator what she wants. I was going to be nice tonight, but then to see something like this, there's already money in Parks and Recs. There's money there. You guys really don't know what's going on. Don't vote for a bond, because if you do, we're not voting for you. And you know you guys are going to run. Don't give this woman what she wants. And look, we're already understaffed with the fire department. Why would you want to take any firefighter's job or anybody's job? But then that's the way they do around this city at Christmas time. But I'm telling you, we need everything we have plus more. Thank you. Oh, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Miss Lynn Boone.
Lynn Boone, City of Compton. I just want to ask the city attorney, I don't understand item number 3. You were at the Planning Commission and you asked for the rezoning. Why isn't the banning of marijuana on the agenda tonight? Item number 4, the last time this item was presented, I remember the city council person in District 1 saying that when this item came back, it was going to be for discussion for the items. It wasn't going to be an action item, and you guys were bringing this forth. Because the items listed here, the majority of these items are taken care of. And many of these items were in the lease revenue bond that you set up here and you refinanced and took and put the money in the general fund, which we all know is a hole that Ms. Brown spends out of. You know, and the first line of it states that it's going to be a bond. And I kept saying that Measure P was going to be a bond. You know, this is the beginning of gentrification, okay? Which is, we already have the $100 million bond from the college, the $350 million bond from the school district. This right here is stating, and it's going to be an open bond, $73.3 million bond. You know, it's not on a property tax, but it's still a bond. And it's going to be an ongoing bond. You go down to, I think it's number 14 or whatever, where it's stating that this council, you guys right here, you're doing the same thing that the council in the past did, which created the $43 million deficit, which was internal. You're spending more than what you have. You're spending out of the general fund. All of these events that Ms. Brown has been having, that's not budgeted. All of these flights, all of these other things that are being spent that are not in the budget, this is how you're overspending. And until you put a handle on this, no matter what you sit up and take money and put in the general fund, it's going to be all overspent. It needs to stop. And you need to stop charging the residents and the citizens. You sit up here and you look and you don't, and you still vote for this stuff. Councilperson in District 4, you weren't even clear when you voted on Measure P. And you still put that on the ballot, and it passed. It didn't pass, and it passed. And we have that in the court. I told you then, you know, why would you even put it on the ballot? I don't understand. And I know Ms. Brown is going to sit up here and speak for 45 minutes to an hour because she's going to cry like a baby because she wants this. You know, you guys get them, go to the restroom or something. But you need to really look at this and bring it back before you actually make a decision on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. Mr. Marcus Musanti?
Good evening. Marcus Musanti, District 1, attorney of law for 13 years. We'll get back to that in a minute. First, I want to echo very Merry Christmas. And if we're not here next week, happy and healthy New Year. As we know, this year was as big as it gets for the politics of our country, and next year is as big as it gets for the politics of Compton. I'm here to discuss number, what is it, 4, 12, the one about Measure P. I was not here last week because I was downtown serving the updated lawsuit against Norwalk involving Measure P. And I also helped draft it. Mr. City Attorney, you're welcome to come to court on January 26th in Department 82 at 1:30, as are as many citizens of Compton as possible, since this now has a direct impact on future taxes on you. I have to tell you, Mr. City Attorney, what's concerning is that you don't know that. You have been up there for a long time, and you've been in the city attorney's office a long time. That's really weird that that relationship with county council isn't there, that they're going to tell you. I know that county council's known for a long time because when I called Norwalk and spoke with Mr. Olvera, he mentioned that both he and county council has been aware of this lawsuit. It's important because, one, I know the facts. Out of less than 1/3 of the provisional ballots that have been reviewed, 114 addresses are invalid. That's less than 1/3 when the margin of victory is only 250. So a reasonable probability is that the votes are not there. I stress to you this because you are now on constructive notice. As a lawyer, on behalf of the city of Compton, I'm telling you that this lawsuit is in there and it's strong. Thus, this action tonight, basically, you have gone to a corporate loan shark. I mean, it kind of is, that sounds harsh, but you're now applying for this bond or this loan, whatever you want to call it, and you don't have Measure P collateral. It's not there. You are perpetuating a fraud if they don't know about it. And then if they give you the money and the mayor starts spending it and Measure P fails, this is why Compton never progresses. And just because the mayor wants something for Christmas, Mr. City Attorney, doesn't mean she gets it.
Ms. Gilda Bluford.
Madam Mayor, while we're waiting for the next,
Yeah, just give us a second, Ms. Bluford, because I'll address that too.
the next speaker, if I may.
Please.
One of the issues to the prior speaker, maybe it was, to the prior speaker, if it was strange to you that I was unaware that a new suit had been filed, it's probably because you're unaware of the responsibilities of this position. If you want me or the city to be aware of a lawsuit, you should know with your 13 years to serve us. And that will go to the city clerk, and then we'll be aware. Until then, it's of no merit to me or this body if we are indeed not a party. Thank you.
Oh, and lastly, I just think it's unfortunate, and I won't even share what else I think about the decision to make everything personal. Measure P is not personal for me. There's allegations that I use city funds for travel, which I do not. And I welcome anyone to come forward with documentation that indicates that I use city funding for travel, because I do not. Even though I have a travel budget, I don't use it. And I just think it's ridiculous when people continue to make things personal when this is really about moving the city forward. And I do recognize that we're coming up into an election, and there are some people that are perennial candidates, and so they run for office every single election cycle. They run before I got here. They've been running probably for 20 years. But it doesn't mean that we decide not to move the city forward. We still have to pave our streets. We still need to add additional lighting. We still have parks that need restrooms, right, Mr. Irons? And we also have additional needs within our city for public safety. And so it's really about servicing the community. I want to live in a clean, healthy, and safe community. And since the city of Compton voters decided to pass a sales tax measure just like Long Beach, just like Carson, just like Linwood, just like many other cities that are surrounding us, because they recognize that they need additional funding as well to service their residents. So again, Measure P is not personal. I urge anyone to even go to the city clerk's office and pull my campaign records and see who contributed to my campaign. You will not see vendors, you will not see contractors, you will not see any of that on my campaign statements. I have nothing to hide. This is about moving the city forward, because as Councilwoman Zarita has said many times, we earn $600 per month to serve. I work full-time and I serve the community. I could be doing other things with my time. There's a sacrifice for my family. There are things that I would like to do in my life, but I made a commitment to the residents of the city of Compton to serve. And so at the end of the day, this is about progress. That's the benefit that I would like to see. And I was not going to dignify comments, but when people start making allegations of illegal activities and misappropriation of funds, I owe it to those that actually watch the council meeting, not just in the city of Compton, but beyond, to actually clarify the record. So I apologize to those of you that had to listen to the clarification, but I do believe that it needed to be said, and I thank you all for your time. Ms. Bluford, you're next.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I have 3 items that I would like to add for 2017 council consideration regarding the Compton Block Club Commission. I have 3 points that I'd like you to consider for next year when selecting your block club commissioners, and one is a prerequisite. I'm asking that you encourage commissioners and prospective commissioners to be members of an active block club. It's kind of hard to facilitate a group of people when they don't understand what it is they're supposed to do, because they don't understand through experience what they're supposed to do. The second would be term limits. I'm going to ask that at the end of the commissioner's 4-year period, if they choose to continue to serve on the commission, that they reapply. We're not the Supreme Court. We should not be appointed as commissioners and sit there for decades. We need, if we wish to continue to serve, we need to reapply, and that will give the commission a sense of structure and accountability. The third, since the commission serves at the pleasure of the city council, I would request that there be a council staff yearly evaluation. Commissioners need to interact with the council, and we need to review the goals and objectives as set forth by the council. I understand that we have an oversight commission, but what the Block Club Commission needs goes deeper than the oversight commission can give us. So if you could just take into consideration the prerequisites, term limits, and a yearly evaluation, I'd really appreciate it. And I think that will make your Block Club Commission a lot stronger, and you'll have a better service. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ms. Bluford, for your feedback and recommendations. Merry Christmas. Madam City Clerk?
Your consent agenda.
Thank you. Consent items are routine and expected to be non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the council at one time without discussion unless a council member requests an item be removed or discussed.
So moved.
I'll step from the floor to second. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Item number 3 under City Manager's Reports is a request to schedule a public hearing to consider amendments to the Compton Municipal Code to prohibit commercial marijuana activity, requesting that hearing be scheduled for January 10, 2017 at 5:45 p.m.
Is there a motion on the item?
Yeah, I wanted to make a quick comment. I want to apologize to the audience in the crowd and also the audience watching at home. I'm sorry for being tardy, and please pardon my attire. I had a family emergency that I had to deal with, and I rushed down here from East LA to make sure I made it in time. So sincerely apologize to you guys, and that's all.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, just for the matter of record, do you mind reading the item once more?
Item number 3 is a request to schedule a public hearing to consider amendments to the Compton Municipal Code to prohibit commercial marijuana activity, requesting that hearing to be scheduled for January 10, 2017 at 5:45 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I was hoping that I would like on the agenda on the 10th to consideration from the council to consider hospice as not part of the ban for the marijuana. Hospice care facilities.
Any additional discussion? Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Delvon.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
City Attorney, item number 4 is a minute motion request for direction regarding Measure P infrastructure projects and approving the development of a bond issuance for a certain amount leverage Measure P revenue, and that is an action item.
First, I'd like to know what constitutes a minute motion. I don't quite understand minute motions, and we had a minute motion last week or so, and I asked the city attorney what was a minute motion. I mean, what constitutes a minute motion? And she said she didn't quite understand minute motions herself. because I thought minute motions were somewhat illegal. So can you explain minute motion before we proceed with this for my comfort level?
Yes, it was my recommendation it would be placed on the agenda in this manner. Staff is asking for direction. They are not putting, they're not hiring a vendor or a bond team or any of the substance that would normally be placed in a resolution. So we just listed on the agenda for an item like a motion, just a regular motion to be approved by council to give staff direction. Everything when it comes to approvals by this body has to be placed on the agenda. We cannot vote on a matter that's not listed. So we've listed the motion that would give staff direction that comes from the staff report on the item.
But so I still don't understand what constitutes an item being a minute motion, because it was prepared at the same time as the agenda, correct?
Yes, it was. It's just a tool to use to get an action item from council. It's a tool to use just like a resolution is a tool.
So what is the definition and why do you use minute motion? I'm not clear.
We used a minute motion because we didn't have a full resolution to put on the agenda.
So
we're just asking for direction that comes from the staff report.
Okay, so then I'm gonna recuse myself from this because if it seems like that it's not complete and that's why you do a minute motion. Is it time sensitive?
Staff needs direction on working for this leveraged item. I can tell you that the completeness of it is not an issue. We have listed the motion for council's consideration.
So I still don't understand why you labeled it as a minute motion, because from my understanding, minute motions are not used anymore, pretty much illegal to use. And so what constitutes minute motion?
I use the term minute motion because it's shorter than using an entire resolution. I can assure you there's nothing illegal about a motion being listed on the agenda for consideration. If it wasn't listed on the agenda, then you would have a situation. But the fact that it was duly noticed and written, there is no issue. It was just another tool to use.
And in this minute motion, is the public is the public allowed to speak on it or give their opinion, or this is not the time for the public to say what they want?
When we had audience comments, like any other item on the agenda, the audience is free to speak on.
So, Mr. City Manager, why wasn't the entire resolution prepared?
Well, again, it was my decision, so he wouldn't have the answer to that.
Oh, I thought you decided to put it, from what I understood you say, you decided to put it on the agenda in a minute motion because the entire resolution was not prepared.
No, not because it wasn't prepared. It was because we didn't, an account number is not needed for this item. Hiring a particular vendor is not needed for this item. We weren't hiring a budget team. We were just asking for direction. So it was, to me, more efficient to put that direction in a minute motion.
Okay, so, Madam Clerk, can you read it to the people again? Please.
I Item number 4 is amended motion. It's a request for direction regarding Measure P infrastructure projects and approving the development of a bond issuance for a certain amount to leverage Measure P revenue.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, I know that you have prepared a presentation. Would you like to present now before the council can make a decision or to decide whether to move forward?
Sure, I'd like to.
May I ask one question?
Sure.
I'm trying to understand what Craig is saying, because if this was an item for us to have a discussion, is there any way that it could be put on the agenda as a discussion item? Is that possible? Because what you seem to be saying, unless I'm misunderstanding you, that this mini motion is put here for us to give the staff direction.
Correct, but the way you give direction is through a vote.
Formally.
So it still has to be an action item. It can't be without any motion and just the staff report.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll see if we can explain what we have in mind for this evening, and we will entertain your wishes and desires as we move forward. This item is presented all in the spirit of moving forward with Measure P. It did pass in June, to our knowledge. We did start collecting the revenues in October, and we will start receiving revenues next month. So we estimate on the 1% sales tax that we normally get, that we are going to get nearly $8 million a year in sales tax. So with this additional 1% sales tax, we will then get another $8 million a year. We're treating that second $8 million as an amount that we will have to dedicate to and devote to purposes that were intended with Measure P. Public safety, parks, streets, the things that Measure P was promoted to support. We're going to dedicate those funds to those purposes. That's what you and the voters asked us to do. So there's going to be a need to put into place per the election and oversight board by January 7th, and you're going to have to do that on a near agenda, and on the basis that we'll be going forward with the dedicated revenue source, we think that it's wise to consider how you can leverage and use these monies, since we anticipate they'll be ongoing, and instead of pay as you go, that you can leverage to get some resources out of it, that you can make a significant impact on the needs that you have. And that's what this item is about. We're recommending how you can leverage the money to make an impact, and we are recommending that you don't use all the money to meet a bond, that you only use a portion of the monies, that you reserve the remaining portions to do things like, or for purposes such as maintenance, miscellaneous other projects that you won't be funding out of this proposal. So we think that it's prudent to consider leveraging a bond against a portion of the money. So there's some basic projects that have been discussed and we think are fundamental to a bond, should you decide to issue one. You have some major cards, so streets is the main thing that we've heard that you want to address in Measure P. Central Avenue, for example, is the first project listed. The completion of Central Avenue to include sidewalks,
curbs and gutters. That project has already been designed and engineered, and all that's needed is the money for construction, which is estimated at $2.2 million. So we recommend that you complete Central Avenue. The other main corridor, Compton Boulevard, from the west end of the city to the east end of the city, we would recommend that you fund that in the first bond. And that would be broken into two projects. Project from the west end to Willowbrook as phase one of Compton Boulevard. When you compare the two phases, that phase will probably cost less than the second phase, but phase one of Compton Boulevard, the west end would be another project estimated at $4 million, and then the eastern end of Compton Boulevard from Willowbrook going east, we would recommend a project that's a $5.7 million project, but $1.9 million of the 5.7 is already received in a grant award, and we would combine that with $3.8 million from this Measure P source to complete that $5.7 million end of Compton Boulevard. So in this first proposal, you would then have $20 million for residential streets, and we would recommend that the $20 million be looked at as a resource that would be divided into basically 4 equal amounts of $5 million for residential streets in the 4 council districts. If you assume that you have these $5 million available, about 20% of that would be used for engineering, design, and construction management. So out of the $5 million per district, $4 million per district would actually be available in this scenario for street work. So residential streets is a high priority, and in this scenario, you would have $5 million per council district for residential streets. Then in parks, we know that there are outstanding improvements to be done in Seabury Park, Burrell McDonald, South Park, and that's about $1.5 million or so. That's $1.6 million for those park improvements, which we would also include in this first iteration. And then lastly, the citywide camera safety project, $650,000 to upgrade the surveillance cameras in City Hall, Public Works Yard, General Service Yard, parks, etc. That would also be included. So as a basic scope of work and list of projects for the Measure P, we would we would need to use $32 million for that initial list of projects. So what I'm going to talk about in a minute is how we have options to consider. That is, for a $32 million bond, which would be a bond that would be repaid in 25 years. The annual debt service on such a bond would be $2 million a year. So to realize this $32 million from a revenue source that will be ongoing in the future, you would commit just $2 million of the $7 million or $8 million that's anticipated annually, a conservative amount of the annual revenue that's dedicated for these purposes. You would only commit 25% of $2 million of the revenue. That's not what we recommend, but that's just a base for consideration. So, okay. So, I'm sorry. I didn't have my glasses on. So, if you look to this next list, that's a list that goes beyond the first list of $20 million for the residential streets. This would propose another list of projects, secondary priority as we estimated, where an additional $10 million or $2.5 million per district could be used for residential streets. You still would deal with the main corridors of Central Avenue South and Compton Boulevard, east to west, end to end. But the residential street allocation could be increased by $2.5 million a year. In addition to that, we have requirements for fire apparatus replacement, sheriff station repair, additional park projects in the amount of about $400,000, and fire station repairs as well. And all these are examples of projects that would add an additional amount to the bond, where you could, in this case, realize $50 million in project costs for $3 million a year. So for $2 million a year, you would realize about $30 million, and for $3 million a year, about $50 million. So these are the kinds of decisions we would like for you to consider. What level of bonding are you talking about wanting to go after? So what level of projects you would like to address? So the last list of projects, as an example, that could take us up to the higher level of bonding would be to add still additional residential streets again. So you went from $5 million per district to $7.5 per district, and in this example, you could go up to $10 million per district. And there would be other needs that we have: facility upgrades, fire department ECG monitors, citywide IT infrastructure, local Channel 36 upgrades, and accounting upgrades in our accounting and budgeting systems. These would all add up to approximately $60 million. So we kind of have a menu to consider, a menu of options. We can see that our needs are plentiful. All of these are critical projects that could be done, but all of them would be possible to be done, to be started immediately with leveraging of the bond money, as opposed to, for instance, if you did a pay-as-you-go and you assume that you got $8 million a year, spending all of that for these projects, it would take you 8 years, and certainly the costs would increase over time. So what we're trying to do as a base is see how you feel about this list and get some direction from you. And I'll just point you to this next this next slide, which attempts to really illustrate what the options look like, three of the options anyway, in terms of spending about $2 million, about $3 million, and about $4 million a year in option 1, 2, and 3 respectively. How you could realize proceeds for projects in the amount of $32 million in the case of $2 million, $49 million in the case of $3 million a year, and $64 million in the case where you leverage $4 million a year. Even in the instance of the $4 million a year, you would be committing to spend approximately 50% of the money for this project list. So you would still have money to consider for maintenance, for reserves, and for other projects. One of the things that we looked at and would assure that this money is available and used properly is that there would be what's considered and called a lockbox feature. And this lockbox would take the pledged money and deposit it in a lockbox which is held by a trustee. And this would assure that the bonds are payable, and that we think this feature would interest investors and make the bonds more attractive. But this is a way of assuring that the bonds would be paid. So there are certainly considerations. Interest. The interest is pretty attractive right now. The terms of that would be applied to this concept, we would be about 4.25%. That would be the interest paid on the bonds, and the costs and fees, the fees to the underwriter, bond disclosure counsel, and others that would be involved with putting it together. For the return that we get is a pretty attractive rate. So if you decided to proceed, we are prepared to move forward immediately on an upcoming agenda for hiring a financing team and legal counsel and underwriters. It would take approximately 60 days to prepare the bond. We estimate that if we move quickly with this, we could have proceeds available sometime in the early spring. We, in the meantime, would develop plans and specifications for the street improvements, and we would be in a position, once those plans and specs are developed, to release contracts and move on the work to be done. The Central Avenue could begin as soon as April of 17, and other projects would begin as soon as the summer. And we would attempt to accelerate wherever possible. So that's a broad brush of the concept, and I think that bonding certainly is the way to go, in that the funds have to be committed to these purposes. It certainly would assure that we can make some progress in these critical areas sooner. And at this point, I think I would entertain any questions you have and seek direction from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Grooms. Council comments?
Yes, I do have a question. I have a statement and a question. First, Ms. Boone, I think, came up and she made a statement in regards to when the vote was, we cast a vote in order to put this on the ballot. I want to make sure people understand something. I represent District 4. And the people in District 4, because of the fact of there were so many people, some wanted to vote, some didn't want to vote. My job was to allow the people to go to the polls and vote on this. If you take a look at the way the votes fell, it was 50-50 pretty much. So that is what, that's how the votes came out. My position was, as a person, personally me, no, I did not support it. Unfortunately, as a city council person, once the votes has been cast and everything has been done, it is now my job to try to make sure that we provide the community what they need in order for it to get done. So if there's a lawsuit out there that's pending, then that lawsuit should be directed to the city clerk's office so that we all know that it's there so we can address that issue, so that our city attorney can address that issue. My question now is that with this, because the questions was brought to my attention, they were asked of me, this bond, how does the issue that we are facing here in the city treasurer's office, how does that impact the bond, or it doesn't impact the bond in any way at all, Mr. Grums?
From my perspective, it doesn't affect it at all. We will still continue to get sales tax. We're going to get sales tax regardless of what happened in the treasurer's office. And we will get an additional 1% over the 1% that we get. So our sales taxes will double. And that additional sales tax that we get, the direction I've heard from the council is that it must be used to support the kind of projects that we're proposing in Measure P. Maybe the projects will differ. Maybe you will choose some projects over others. But the fact remains that the money has to be it must be dedicated for these kinds of projects. So since there will be a sales tax, regardless of the case in the treasurer's office, there will be a sales tax. Since you asked that these sales taxes be overseen by not only you but an oversight committee, then it's entirely reasonable, I think, to pledge up to half the amount of those sales taxes for a bond.
Thank you. Any additional council comments?
Yeah, I like the city manager's answer to that, which was one of the dumbest comments I've heard since I've been up here in 4 years. The residents voted to approve it, and I think that it spoke to that they want these projects to be taken care of. People always complain about the potholes, about the streets not being repaved, about the lack of public services, and with this bond, which the majority of the residents voted for, passed. So I think that it's up to the council, the entire council, to make sure that the money gets spent where it's supposed to be spent at. That's all I want to say.
I'm going to ask that people do not interfere with the public process. Thank you. Thank you. And again, I'm going to wait for him to leave since he's going to interrupt the public process.
I have a couple of comments. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
No. Because I can't hardly hear myself, and I know how loud my voice is. Okay, so I guess Madam Clerk will take care of it. My comment is, first of all, Madam Clerk, is there a motion on the floor? No. Okay, thank you. So my comment is that, Mr. Grooms, I think your strategy is outstanding, and that so many things can be done in a shorter amount of time. My only concern is the long term. So in your comments, you said that all these projects without the bonding can be done in 8 years. And go ahead, you want to answer?
I'm sorry.
And go ahead.
I was trying to catch what you said. you said something about 8 years?
Yeah, didn't you say something about 8 years? Without the bond.
You said that the residential street,
I'm
for
sorry.
example.
I'm sorry. Yes, I said if you went on a pay-as-you-go basis, that if you looked at, as an example, $64 million worth of work, that on a pay-as-you-go basis, you could do that in 8 years. 8 times 8, 64. You could use $8 million a year and do theoretically all those projects in 8 years, but the cost for the projects would increase over that time. So, yeah, I was trying to illustrate that you don't have to go bond, but it would take you a long time to do what you could do in a shorter period of time with the bond.
So, you know, my concern is that if we do a bond, it'd be, you gave the 20-year, 30-year scenario, and we'd have our projects done, and we'd still be paying the bonds. And like the folks say, they didn't approve a bond, they approved a measure. And I think, and one of my other concerns is that I think before I'm going to support a bond, I'm going to wait till we do our city manager search. Too, I don't think we should take on a bond right in the middle of a city manager search. I think that you completed the task that I asked of you, to have a plan and give us some options, and I think you did just that. But now that it's down to the wire, and I think you probably only have maybe 4 or 5 weeks left here. Or do you know exactly how much time you have left here, Mr. Grooms?
Not exactly. I'm just enjoying myself so much. No, I think it's probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, just when you thought you had seen it all, huh? You came to Compton. But, you know, I think, you know, because see, my concerns is too that in addition to Measure P, we still have other funds of money that can assist the Measure P, and, you know, I don't want to be responsible for the predecessors that got the water bill so high with the bonds. And, you know, I just really want to be very careful on bonds, because when we just refinanced the bonds right before you came in, had you been here, you probably would have advised council not to do that, the way we refinanced those bonds and took all our project money. So I just think that this should be put on hold, and especially until we create our Measure P Oversight Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Zarita. Well, Mr. Grooms, I want to thank you for complying with the council's request to provide a plan and a strategy. In your 40 years of experience in being a city manager, I take your recommendations very highly. And I think that there's no council person sitting on this dais that if we didn't have the opportunity to keep you as our city manager, that we wouldn't agree with that. And so that being said, I am going to accept your professional recommendation of the best way to utilize the taxpayer dollars. And as someone that did support Measure P and that did knock on doors and did meet with my constituents, I was very clear that this is a sales tax measure. And there is a difference between a sales tax measure and a bond. When you campaign for a bond, that bond is actually put on the taxpayers' property taxes. This is not a property tax bond like the school district or the college district. It was a sales tax measure. Now, I did also indicate that the best way to leverage our funds is to issue a bond, like all other institutions and cities and other people do, in order to get the projects done in a timely manner. Because Mr. Grooms was kind enough to do simple math, and $8 million over 8 years is $64 million. However, the cost of construction, steel, fuel, all those costs increase over time. and administrative costs are going to increase, all of those things. So a project that costs $10 million today, it could cost $15 or $18 million in 8 years. So potentially, these construction projects that have a myriad of factors, we could be paying more money for the same exact project, and we have to wait even longer to get these projects done. And so for all of those people that are vigilant and diligent to come up to the city council meeting every week and complain about potholes, and complain that the city is dirty, and complain that it's dark, and to complain that the parks need to be redone, to complain that we need additional jobs, this is an opportunity for us to make a smart decision with the taxpayer dollars and to effectively launch all of these projects, repave all of these streets, enhance our fire department, our city yard, all the things that we need in this community, and actually save the taxpayer dollars in the long run. So those that have financial expertise can appreciate this, but this is really about being a good steward with the money that we have. And as a fellow taxpayer, I'd rather be able to save money on these projects today by being able to implement them than wait 8 or 10 years and be able to have to pay more money for the same exact project that I could have enjoyed 10 years ahead of time. So some people won't even be alive in another 10 years. So I just hope that we could be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, regardless of what happens. When we talk about oversight, a bond actually gives an opportunity for these monies to be locked into a lockbox. And the only way to draw down those funds are for those projects that are actually approved and overseen by the oversight body. When people are concerned about what's happening with different departments or the treasurer or the general fund, these monies are going to come into the general fund. Now, we can appropriate them into a separate account, which we plan to do, but those funds are not going to be locked legally in a separate account until there is a mechanism similar to a bond to ensure that these things can happen. So for me, I can appreciate your presentation, Mr. Grooms, and also your professional recommendation, and I just hope that we can make a sound decision with the taxpayer dollars. And people want their streets fixed now, they want their potholes filled now, they want lights now, and I just hope that we can move forward and finally move the city forward. Regardless of whether or not we supported it, Measure P passed, and we're going to start receiving this revenue next month. And I'm just hoping that we can just make some sound decisions, that it doesn't have to be personal, that we can actually just make a business decision on the benefit of the taxpayer dollars. Because there's no one alive that would say, yes, I want to pay 25 to 30% more for the same thing that I could have saved money for today. And that's all I have to say about that.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. City Manager, the statements that's being made, I think the communities may be aware, maybe not. But how are these changes expected to increase all these increase in the next 4 months? Because you're saying that we are going to have increase in administrative costs and all these different things, and we know that usually happens on a year, every year things go up. When you're talking about buying concrete, we know that goes up. Are we anticipating these changes these increases to take place in the next 4 months? Are we expecting that everything is going to just go skyrocketing in the next 4 months, or do we expect? Are we looking at it to be kind of stable until that period of time? Because I'm just saying is that we all know that things increase over time. Every year there's an increase. Like right now with the 10% sales tax, naturally everything is increasing. But I'm just saying that if it's not happening in the next 4 months, is there an emergency for us to move forward with it at this time? That's what I'm asking. I know that we have to put the oversight committee in place by January the 7th. You just stated that. I know we need to start focusing on that. But as far as moving forward with this, is that emergency? There's type of an urgency. I understand the urgency as far as the streets is concerned, but I'm just saying, is there something that you feel as though we need to start moving on at this particular moment right now?
Well, Councilwoman, it's not that I think there's going to be an emergency or an urgency in the next 4 months, but it's going to take time to move this forward. And I simply think that there's no reason why we shouldn't decide in concept what you want to do, so we can bring some action items back to you, which will take time to unfold. We know that you want to finish Central Avenue. You know, we know that you want to do Compton Boulevard. We know that the residential streets are disastrous. Disastrous. We know that we don't have money to fix them.
Why would we not use it?
So we're just trying to see if we can recommend something that could get it moving forward. It's not an urgency. Yeah, it is an urgency.
It's an urgency as far as I'm
It is an
concerned.
urgency. Yeah, it's an urgency. If if you want to delay it by 4 months, that's just fine. You can delay it by 4 months. But if you're going to wait 4 months to decide, then it's going to take the time to do the engineering and design work and what have you. We're just trying to get a head start on that and trying to keep it moving. Frankly, I just wanted to move it as far as I can while I can.
Okay, so, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can wait the 4 months, and I'll be comfortable in waiting, because that will give the public an opportunity again to come and say what they want, how they want it, you know, what their priorities are, because no one kind of weighed in today. But the other thing is, then we can have the oversight committee in place, and everything will then move right along where we don't have to do it exactly this moment. So that's the way I feel about it.
Well, I'm going to ask for a vote just for the public record, but from my understanding, Mr. Grooms, this item is not to move forward on any specific project, so we would have an opportunity to do outreach over the next 4 months, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You know,
This is in concept. It's the frame. It's the frame. Whether you want to do a bond measure, and if so, for approximately how much? We aren't committing to any projects now. You would have a chance. And you see, we tried to frame it where the main corridors will be done, but there would be residential streets per district. We assume that you want to go into your districts and find out what streets. We haven't ventured to say what streets we're going to fix, just how much money you're going to spend for fixing streets. So there's time to do planning, and by all means, it's your decision if you want to wait to get started.
But at least we have an opportunity to get started, and that's what this is today. And for those people that actually watched the construction and the steel markets, in the last couple of months, concrete went up 20%. Steel went up 20%. All those people that are in construction understand costs are variable. And the Federal Reserve, they just inched up interest rates last week. And there probably will be another increase in the next quarter. And so we have an opportunity to either move the city forward or wait. But at the end of the day, making a decision to have the city manager begin his due diligence in finding firms, making certain that the staff can review and make all these recommendations while we as council members go out into the community and get the priorities. During that period, by the time we do our work and he does his work, we actually can be at a point where we can move the city forward. And one is not dependent on the other necessarily, but we're just wasting time utilizing the city's funds. So to that point, I'm just going to step from the chair to make a motion. Is there a second?
Before you, I would like to make sure whenever we decide to start going out for the outreach for the community and talking to the community, I hope that outreach is not like what happened during Measure P, because we need to make sure that we actually do serious outreach to the community and make sure that we get their input in everything in regards to what they want to see done. This has been a concern of mine for a while, and I still have that concern. I want to make sure that that's done.
We had over 8 town halls with Measure P, in addition to at least 3 that I had, and I also went to, it's up to us to do the work. So we're all representatives. We can hold as many meetings as we want to. If you want to hold a meeting every week, you can hold a meeting every week. It's up to you, but it's up to us to do the work. So again, I step from the chair to make a motion. Is there a second? Is Is there a second? Well, thank you for consideration. And we've declined to move the city forward.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So may I ask, is there a desire for me to bring back any item related to Measure P at all?
Yes, there is for me. I'd like to see the item come back to start to create the committee. And I also, you know, Mr. Grooms, from sitting here for 6 years, almost 6 years? Yeah, it'll be 6 years in a few months. And when I ran for council because I was a just disgruntled citizen with the water bills. And to make the same mistake would be a travesty for the city. So when the water department, the water bills are high, not because of the water that you use, but because of the bonds that were added to the water bills. So the bonds that were taken out in the water department were taken out for 20, 30 years of projects, when it could have been taken out, to me, in increments, and the water bills would not be that high. Not saying that this is what will happen with this bond, but for me, as a representative of the people and a spokesperson for the people, by the people, I would like to see us use the $8 million, and if we can, because at the history of the city, that $8 million, by the time we get a team together to actually execute the work, we probably will have another $8 million in hand from the next year. So I think that we should utilize the $8 million that we foresee for Measure P. And I want it to be perfectly clear. I did not support Measure P, but I voted to put it on the ballot for the people to decide, and the people won. Measure P has been passed by the citizens of Compton. So yes, I'm going to work with the money. I'm going to help use the money to improve the quality of life of the citizens of Compton, but I'm going to do it in a respectful manner to everybody's pocketbook. And I'd like to use the $8 million, and then if we need money, we add to that. Thank you.
Any additional comments?
Yeah. Similar to piggyback off what my colleague said, when I ran in 2013, some of the things I ran off was try to enhance the services we provide to the residents, which I believe we have. I wanted to cut trees, fill potholes, get back to the basics, pick up trash. I voted to put Measure P on the ballot. I supported Measure P when it was on the ballot. I worked hard for it because I knew I didn't really understand fully when I was campaigning the issues that the city had. But I knew that the money would be good for the community, good for the residents. I knew it would be good to enhance the services for the community. I, by no means, have any interest in supporting any lawsuit that any one disgruntled or two disgruntled residents have against the city regarding Measure P. It passed. I mean, there was a vote. It passed with, if you look at the percentages, it passed with, well enough. I'm not in favor of supporting the city attorney looking into that and working with that. It makes absolutely no sense. I want the $8 million because I want to enhance the services that we provide as a city to our residents, because I believe you guys have suffered enough over previous administrations. I mean, you can't blame this administration that's up here today for the issues the city has now. We inherited this when we got elected. Jana got elected, she inherited this. I got elected, I inherited this. Asia got inherited. We were the new group that came in. So that's what I wanted to say, and I'm glad it passed, and I'm glad that we're going to have $8 million to use to enhance the services to you guys. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Galvin. And I would just say that, it's a council person's responsibility to inform ourselves. It's not enough to just be disgruntled or to be unhappy with what's happening, because a lay citizen can be unhappy, but we're supposed to come forward with solutions that actually can move the city forward. And so that being said, when we start talking about and trying to compare apples with oranges, the water bill had nothing to do with the sales tax measure. The water bill was a bond that the taxpayers voted for to go on their property taxes. See, there's a misnomer here. There's no way legally for the city to impose a bond or increase your property taxes without the residents' consent. It's illegal. It's impossible. And so we need to recognize that people voted to enhance their water system by voting for a bond, just like they voted to enhance their college, their school district, and they also voted to pass Measure P. So people obviously don't have a problem investing for what they need, but it's our responsibility after we get the mandate from the taxpayers to utilize the funds in an effective manner and to not have a paycheck to paycheck mentality with millions of dollars. Just because we receive $8 million per year, there is no reason why we would not save the taxpayers' dollars by incurring a bond that can actually save money on project costs. But again, it's up to us to inform ourselves as representatives. And I don't expect everyone to be an expert in finance or project management or construction or roads and all those things, but when we have a 40-year veteran professional city manager that comes forward with his own independent recommendation, and Mr. Grooms, he has integrity. He can tell you wholeheartedly that I did not prepare or assist him in the preparation of his recommendation one bit because I wanted it to be objective. And I didn't want him to say that I interjected. This was his recommendation. This is the first time that I've actually seen this PowerPoint presentation. And so at the end of the day, we can get political and talk about waiting 4 months after the election and all of these things, but regardless of what happens in the election, we still owe it to the taxpayers, and we owe it to the oath that we took to move the city forward. I didn't come here to be stagnant. I'm not concerned about having a position just to have a little bit of perceived power, because it is perceived. So I think it's really unfortunate, and it's truly, in my opinion, it's just, I can imagine being a public servant with this mentality. So that's all. And to the taxpayers that actually want their streets paved and lights, and to the captain that wants the demand system so that when the camera systems go out, we can actually know it and that we can actually keep our city safe. We're going to wait 4 months and be political instead of moving the city forward like we have the opportunity to do today. So I just wanted to make it clear that I supported it. I supported the city manager's recommendation. I'll support the next city manager's recommendation to continue to move the city forward. But it really takes people that are like-minded and that truly have the best interests of the residents at heart. So I hope on the next go-round we can get it right. Madam City Clerk.
City Attorney's reports.
Ignorance is bliss. Crazy.
That's why she can't even get a second.
To the mayor and city council,
No. Okay.
there are a couple of items being proposed. There are a couple of items being proposed for a closed session discussion. The first is public employment, title city manager, pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957B. Then there is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, one potential case for discussion, pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9B. Requested a motion for closed session. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Galvin.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Item number 6 under unfinished business is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Compton amending Chapter 23 of the Compton Municipal Code to add Section 23-3, adopting a sanitary sewer overflow reduction program, and this is for the waiver.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Galvin.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And on the item?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Galvin.
Yes.
McCoy.
Yes.
Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Under new business, item number 7 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Compton, authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an opt-in program agreement for partners with the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority to participate in the 2017 Greater Los Angeles Homeless Street Count.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. City Manager, could you please explain what this item is for?
Sure. This is the proposal that Compton enter into the what's called the opt-in program for the homeless count in the county. The count has taken place for 7 years. This would be the 8th year. It's a count that takes place over a few day period in late January, and it's a count that is entirely undertaken by our staff and volunteers. There would be an attempt to count the homeless persons living in Compton, both in shelters and on the street, in cars and other places where people are not designed to live. And it would be a means of quantifying what the problem is around the county and strategically coming up with some resources to deal with those problems.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional discussion?
Did I say it won't cost anything?
No, but
I meant
thank
to.
you.
It won't cost us anything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grooms. Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita?
Yes.
Galvane?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
Sharif?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes, at the request of the city manager for item number 8, we'd like to continue this one to the next council meeting.
Item number 9 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Compton, authorizing the interim city manager to execute a lease agreement with the California State Assembly District 64, Assembly Mike Gibson, for a district office in Compton City Hall.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Would he be taking the place of Janice Hahn's old office? Is that the proposed location?
Yes.
Mr. City Manager?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
there's a request by the assemblyman for $1 a year, and that would need to be in the motion for the minutes.
Just for the record, Mr. City Attorney, what was the Congresswoman paying?
$1 a year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And will they be taking the entire space?
No.
Yes?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
Any additional discussion? Roll call?
Mr. City Attorney, do we need a
Amended motion?
amended motion to add the dollar?
Yes. You see section 2
Section 2, yes.
needs to be filled.
So you need an
So,
amended
I need a
motion?
motion for $1 a year.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita?
Yes.
Galvane?
Yes.
McCoy? Yes. Sharif?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
And on the item?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita?
Yes.
Galvane?
Yes.
McCoy? Yes. Sharif?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Item number 10 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Compton, authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an exclusive negotiation agreement between the City of Buena Knock, Inc. to work out the terms and conditions of a purchase and sale agreement for the disposition and development of certain city-owned property located at 1950 North Central Avenue.
So moved.
For discussion, second.
Discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I met with Assistant City Manager, Mr. Graves, a few weeks ago, and there was an expired exclusive negotiating agreement on this property. Is this the same company? Mr. City Manager?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, yes, it is. This E&A has not been entered into. It's based on a competition, an RFP that was done in late 2015. It was not brought back to the council because the city had not received approval of its long-range property management plan from the state, so it was in suspension for several months. I have met with the developer, and he is still wants to abide by the terms and conditions of his original proposal, and the developer is qualified, the property is available. So it's my recommendation that you move forward rather than rebid it.
So legally, is that RFP still good?
Yes, it is.
It doesn't have an expiration date
It
on it?
doesn't have an expiration date. Request for proposal. It was a formal notice inviting proposals for the site.
So, does this, if this exclusive negotiating agreement is approved tonight, does it have an expiration date on it?
90 days.
90 days? And we really need to start enforcing our expiration dates, because most of these exclusive negotiating agreements are years old.
Yeah.
And I really think that to legally protect the city, that the RFP should be redone, because these were back when it was CRA, our exclusive negotiating agreements, right?
No, it was
No?
not.
It's from...
No, this was in 2015 after redevelopment had been abolished, and you were acting as the successor agency to dispose of what had been agency-owned properties. This is one of them.
So how did we, so I'm clear, so I feel comfortable, because this, not just only because this is in District 1, but, so how did we enter into an exclusive negotiating agreement and we didn't have ownership of the property?
You have not entered into any agreement at this
No,
point.
the prior one, the one that expired, that when we sent out the RFP.
Well, back in then, at that time, you did have the authority to do it.
No, okay, so I'm confusing myself. So,
If I can, maybe I can clarify.
okay,
You actually have an RFP on the agenda for the successor agency tonight for property at 1117 South Long Beach Boulevard. That was an agreement, believe it or not, that you entered into in 2013. That is just too long ago. And so I am recommending that you re-offer that property. But in the case of these two, yes, a year is a long time, but the city could not have done much because of the deliberations that the state of California was going in. There is no prior agreement in effect for this property.
so for those of you that don't know, this is the old bowling alley site. What is it zoned for?
The zoning, I believe, is... Kofi, do you know?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. The site is zoned for residential.
For residential?
Yes, yes. In the year 2005, the site was rezoned. It was originally manufacturing, and it was rezoned to limited residential, and that was the basis upon which the site currently, we are doing the RFP and selected a developer for the residential development.
You'll note that the property is surrounded by residential development.
So, Mr. Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
legally, the RFP is still binding, it's still good?
Yes, I agree with the statements of Assistant City Manager.
You know, my request for RFPs, and I've said this before, is that we have a workshop with the council so that we can understand what type of proposals we're requesting for these city properties. Because whether or not the community wants a different type of project and it's feasible, or we receive different proposals. I know we received different proposals for this particular property. Now, this is for a residential property, but we received proposals for recreation uses, for retail. We received different proposals, and so I'm just not clear on how we're coming to these policy decisions on how to utilize the city's properties, because it should be a collective discussion on what direction we want to go with the end use of a property. Now, I'm not against, housing or affordable housing, but I do think that there should be a process, and before RFPs are issued, I would like to see a workshop so that we can have a discussion if we need to provide input to tighten up the RFP, because we've had issues of developers proposing projects that are outdated, or they can make the highest return on their investment but provide a lower quality project to the community. So we have a say on what type of development that we want or should have in the community with our properties. And if it's not feasible at that time to issue that project or to make it available because the market has changed or what have you, I would like us to be more strategic on this and also allow for input.
I think, Mayor, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think the practice is staff decisions, not policy decisions.
Because in my mind, this is a policy decision on how we utilize these properties. And it's a staff recommendation in terms of which developer is the most qualified to do that. But we haven't been able to have a discussion or input on what we'd like to see the end use of this property be, because we've been in transition with the successor agency. So my request is to bring this item back until we can really get some clarity or have some discussion on the future of these properties.
Madam Mayor, if I may, it has been the city's practice in the past for staff to issue RFPs. We've changed that. So no RFPs go out without council approval. You have 2 items on your agenda later today, which would do just that. This was done under former procedures. The use of the property was already agreed to by the council. When it submitted its long-range property management plan to the state, it explicitly calls for residential development. It's zoned for residential. If you'd like to cancel the discussion and not move forward on anything until you review them, that's certainly your prerogative. But my concern professionally is the city has been dormant as far as development goes for really 2 or 3 years because of the demise of redevelopment. You have a backlog of projects that were set in motion, and in order to give the right signal to the development community, I'm recommending that you at least move forward on the 2 that are here tonight. Now, if you'd like to hold up on future RFPs, I would love to have the opportunity to do a full workshop on the agency properties. That's if I can find time on the council's calendar to do that, I think that would be a good idea. I do think you should move forward on these 2, however.
Thank you for your recommendation. Any additional discussion? Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita?
Yes.
Galvin?
Yes.
McCoy? Yes. Sharif?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Item number 11 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Compton, acting in the capacity of housing successor, authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an exclusive negotiation agreement between the City of Compton and Habitat for Humanity of Greater Los Angeles to work out the terms and conditions of a purchase and sale agreement in connection with disposition of certain city-owned property located at 217 East Indigo Street.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Just for clarity, Mr. City Manager, do you mind explaining this item for the public?
Mr. Graves would be glad to.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this is an interesting proposal. Over the years, the redevelopment agency acquired property, would buy one lot with the intention of buying the next lot when it became available. This property on Indigo is one of those. It's actually a single-family lot, a little over 7,500 square feet, about the average size of residential lots in that area. For some reason lost in history, the agency only got that property and no others. And there's really been no interest in it because it is sandwiched in there. We received an unsolicited proposal about 4 months ago from Habitat for Humanity, which, as many of you know, is a very special nonprofit organization that works with the community and prospective homeowners to put equity in and labor into constructing their houses. You have a copy of their proposal in your packet. They propose to build one or at most two single-family units on this lot, and as a nonprofit, once they select a home buyer, to provide them with education, also to involve the community in the development of this project. It's a very unusual approach. It's been very successful. Habitat has done at least one other project here in Compton. And so even though this was an unsolicited proposal, it was for a property of limited interest, and because of the unique approach that Habitat has, I'm recommending that you not go out with an RFP on this and go directly to an E&A to see if we can put a project together there.
One question. Will they pick a family from the city of Compton?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have another question.
Pardon me? An E&A is an exclusive negotiating agreement. It's a legal term. And it means that for a period of time, in the case of Compton, it's usually 90 days, the city will talk to no other prospective developer while it is trying to work an agreement with this one. If no agreement is reached, then the property goes back on the market. You're welcome.
So they're going to pick a family for a house in Compton to rehabilitate?
No, they're going to build new houses.
Oh. And to pick a family from Compton to move into it?
Yes.
Where can I apply? I'm just kidding.
Any additional discussion?
Mr. Irons, where's your application?
Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Galvin.
Yes.
McCoy. Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes. Sorry.
Item number 12 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Compton declaring a workforce reduction for the fire department for fiscal year 2016-17.
So moved for discussion.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, this is a workforce reduction, but, you know, I'm reading the backup in the council package, and it talks about how the fire department it couldn't, well, let me read it. So it talks about how the fire department didn't have the proper equipment and not able to respond to the RFP. But the fact of the matter is that the RFP was not responded to by negligence. And we need to really, I think, now we have talked about sending inserts and water bills for about different issues in the city of Compton. And this is one of the issues that I think we really need to notify the citizens about with an insert maybe in the water bill, and McCoy can probably help me with this because she's from the water department. So as of, Mr. City Attorney was gracious enough to get an extension, but as of January 1st, McCormick Ambulance Service will be transporting all patients in the city of Compton. And this is for the next 10 years. And, you know, and due to the non-response to the RFP, because I got 3 different explanations. One was the interim fire chief decided not to respond because he didn't think it was cost effective. Then the next response, explanation I got was because he went out of town he laid the RFP on his desk and he told some other staff to take it and they didn't take it. Then the next explanation I got was when it got to the county late. But if you circle all around and if you pick any one of them 3 excuses, you get to the same result. Compton has lost the ability to transport patients for the next 10 years. So we got to lay off. I think it's, how many is it, Mr. City Manager? 13 or 14 employees?
I believe it's
10 employees, which is bad. We have transportation equipment that we're going to have to try to liquidate, maybe sell, because in 10 years it'll be obsolete. You won't even be able to use it. But, you know, my real concern is that I believe, Mr. City Manager, that this surely was a policy decision. It was not the responsibility of any employee to make the decision not to respond on a contract. Am I correct, Mr. City Manager?
That's correct.
And so, has any disciplinary action been taken?
I don't think that's an appropriate question. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that means, we know what that means here in the CPT, huh? No. But, you know, it's just really, to be serious, it's just really unfortunate. And then to try to cover it up with this explanation in this legal document and, you know, not just tell the truth. And you guys know me, and I think that's why you like me, because I'm going to just keep it real with you, and I'm going to tell you what exactly is going on, because I'm a citizen just like you all are. And you voted me to represent you and to keep you at abreast, because everybody in the community can't sit up here. So you had to pick 5 people to represent you. So I'm going to let you know everything that I know. And this is very unfortunate. So when you have your loved Compton Fire Department come to your house and treat you and get you stabilized, they're not going to be able to, well, they may be able to ride in the back of somebody else's ambulance. I'm not really clear on that yet, but we're still negotiating exactly how we're going to house the paramedic units here in the city. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to maybe rent McCormick our facilities so that we'll actually have the units right here in Compton. But I'm very saddened by this. But I just wanted to let you guys know the real story. Thank you.
Any additional discussion?
Yeah, I have a comment. I feel very bad for the paramedics who are potentially going to be laid off, especially around Christmas time. I know we're up here to make tough decisions, and we're up here to do what's best for the city. And my question is to the city manager and the city attorney. I'm not going to defend anybody's actions or say they did the right thing or didn't do the right thing or all of that, but I was just curious if there's any possible way to keep the employees that we have in the city, if there's any way possible that the firemen could absorb their salaries and whatever, there's any way possible they could do that now.
I'll comment first.
Because I'm under the impression that they could absorb the salaries and they have money for them, but I don't know if that's true or not, so I'm asking you directly.
Of 10 employees?
Yeah, that's what I was told.
From who? I'm sorry, I don't know how you have it.
I'll comment first. There are no paramedics being laid off. This does not affect paramedics. This only affects the ambulance operators, the people who do the driving of the transport. So there are no.
How many of those are there?
There are 8. There are 8.
And there's no possible way. I just want to ask for the people's sake, for the residents' sake. There's no possible way that, with the budget the firemen have now, they can absorb the salaries of those 8 employees. That's what I'm asking you directly.
I don't know how that would be done. Well, I don't know how that would be done. it's not a matter of absorbing the salaries, it's a matter that the county has taken a position that the city, that the county has taken a position that they would RFP for the transport service. And in the county's consideration, they have awarded the contract to McCormick, so that we, based on that decision, would not be able to transport, because the county oversees the transport according to their view and their interpretation. They oversee the decision of who transports to hospitals. But our firefighters will still respond to calls as they have been. The paramedics will roll with the firefighters as they have been, and they will treat the individuals that are in need as they have been. And if they are required to be transported to a hospital and require additional treatment, our paramedics will give them that treatment until they get to the hospital and are turned over to a physician. So nothing changes except when, upon making an assessment, if it's determined that the person or patient is requiring some basic life support as opposed to advanced life support. If it's basic life support, then then McCormick is equipped to transport without our paramedics. If it's advanced life support, then they will transport with our paramedics.
So have we addressed the issue of the billing? Will we continue to use our same biller? Because then it gets kind of technical, because when you have advanced life support transportation given, it's going to be billing simultaneously. One is going to be billing for the driving with McCormick, and one is going to be billing for our paramedic in the back. And then also, this is my last comment on this tonight, I think that we owe it to the people to have some type of well-drafted explanation in the water bill, and those that don't have Compton water, we need to get with Park Water and Centeva so that everybody in the city can be informed. Because when you have elderly people, whether they're sick or not, when they see another ambulance, McCormick, they're gonna think additional bill for them. So we need to just notify our people and let them know that what the process is, and that McCormick is, I don't know if it's an additional charge to the people or not, so we need to let them know whether it is or whether it isn't. And can you let me know, Mr. City Manager, how soon we'll have that notification ready?
Thank you, yes.
Madam Mayor.
I had a question too, Mr. City Manager. If we already had budgeted for those 8 employees in the last budget, does them not applying for the application affect the budget that we had for them already to operate in the fire department?
Well, yes, it affects it to the extent that if we no longer get the revenues for transport, then it's those revenues that we lose, and that's why we.
So we had them budgeted based on anticipation of getting the revenues from the county.
Not from the county.
Or wherever it's from.
From the
billing.
From the
Billing.
billing.
I have a question for this, I'm sorry,
Madam
Councilwoman
Mayor.
Sharif.
I wanted to, my question is regarding the section, the safety codes, public safety, section 224 and 221. I'm wondering if there's any way that we've been able, can we reach out to the other attorneys to see whether or not we can get some assistance to find out whether it's too late for us in regards to this whole issue. Because one of the things I know all of us are concerned about is the seniors in the community, because with the fire department and everything, McCormick, I know we talked about the response time and everything, and how how long will it take them to respond to the residents here in the community. And I really would hate to see us, if possible, for us to, if we can, reach out to county council to see whether or not it's too late for us to take a look at those two sections to see which one of those sections really will apply and help and assist us as far as keeping some type of control here in the city. Is it too late for us to do any of those things?
Madam Mayor, may I just ask, in addition to that, the city attorney, isn't he trying to work with,
Yes,
aren't you moving forward with working on this issue?
Yes, I am working on this issue.
Okay.
The item before you is a 30-day notice.
It's just a precaution.
And there may be some other steps we have to take in case. And Councilperson Sharif, I have had discussions with county council. They've been very clear on their position in this matter. It doesn't mean that we don't have options, but I would like to alert council and the residents that if we disagree with county's assessment, I think the time has passed for meeting of the minds as far as this issue. They're pretty comfortable and certain on how they perceive the rights for this area.
Well, I think that we need to bring this item back until we're briefed on what our options are. Because if you are one opinion at the city attorney on what our options are to retain ambulance services and the county has another opinion, until we get on the same page, I don't think we should move forward with anything. Because we do have options. They can't just come in and make us stop providing services to our residents.
That's not how it happened, Mayor.
Right.
That's not how it happened. I think you might have missed that closed session, but the RFP was granted.
I'm aware, and
back in June or July, and the county, we didn't respond to the RFP, so we weren't even in the pullings. It's nothing. The city attorney has actually sat down with the council, and we've lost it for 10 years. We did not respond to the RFP.
I understand that the city did not respond, I guess, by the deadline, according to what the city attorney has shared with me.
And then they covered it up for months.
I don't know what happened because I don't work in the fire department and I'm not in city management, but I am concerned about the jobs of these responders and also about the care that we expect and the residents deserve. So according to the city attorney, is this the last road, or are you going to proceed forward with trying to fight this, or where are we going with this? Because I'm not clear.
I expect to have more discussions with city council before an action is taken.
Okay.
But so, from my understanding, so, Mr. City Attorney, the last conversation we had about this, you said effective January 1st, McCormick would be taken over, correct?
Correct.
So, we're already 30 days late on notifying the employees.
Well,
Formally notifying them, right?
we have notified the employees.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yes, we have notified the
They have
employees.
written notification?
They have letters from us.
Okay.
Giving the 30-day notice.
Thank you.
So, Mr. City Attorney, we're working forward to file like an injunction or something to deal with them to see if we can reach, because of the health and safety code, maybe retain our services? Is that what we're doing?
The legal options I'd like to present in another forum.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
I had another question to the city manager. And I'm just asking questions because, well, this is a regular question. I want everybody out there, everybody in the audience, everybody that's at home watching, everybody that's on social media, I'm going to ask a direct question to the city manager. Did anybody on this council have anything to do with them not responding to the RFP?
No, I'm not aware of
because I've seen it all over social media that certain people are trying to get the firemen out. They want to fire these people and bring in other services, and that's absolutely not true. We had nothing to do with it. That's not our job to respond to it. Another thing I was curious that I was asked, that was brought to me is, I know that our firemen have been underbilling since 1983 for the services they provide. If they were to increase their rates to make them comparable to what another ambulance service or another service would charge, would that help us to keep our 8 employees?
So you're talking about keeping the employees, but are you, I'm just trying to be clear, you're talking about keeping them in some other capacity as opposed to ambulance operator?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Because it's not their fault. It's not their fault that somebody didn't respond to the RFP, and they can make a million excuses. They can blame it on whoever they want, but whoever's job it was to respond back to it didn't do it, and they let down those 8 employees, and now it's something that we have to deal with, and it really bothers me because Christmas is 4 days away, and these guys are gonna not have jobs. I mean, that's not right.
Well, they.
Madam Mayor.
I would appreciate if the city manager answers my question before you ask a question, if that's possible.
I didn't hear a question, but I was going to make a comment that the date they would not be separated under the current notice until after the new year. That's one. And secondly, I'd say that it's our understanding that McCormick has offered to employ them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
All right, that's the first I've heard of that.
That's what I was. Well, that information was shared with us, so all of us really should have known it.
I didn't hear what you said.
I
Say it
said
again?
that information was shared with the council.
When?
A while back. Yes, it was. It was shared with the council that the McCormick would be giving them, that they would be picked up by McCormick. And that's why.
What I heard is that they were considering, I didn't know that they were actually going to do it. What it was told to me is that they would consider hiring them. Now city manager said they're actually going to hire them. That's the information I got. If you got something else, I don't know what you got or what you don't have, but what was told to me in closed session, which we're not supposed to talk about, was that they would consider hiring them. Now the city manager said they actually would hire them, so that changes my whole perspective.
They haven't hired them. I didn't mean to say they haven't hired them yet, you know. So they have said that they will consider hiring them.
I think the argument that what are they going to pay them the same salary they were getting paid now, or are they going to pay them less? And I hope everybody out there doesn't think that I'm arguing with my colleagues or fighting with them. I'm fighting for the eight jobs, the 8 families that are going to be affected by this negligence. That's what I'm fighting for tonight.
I want to remind the audience, if you don't mind, to please limit your comments so that the council can deliberate. Any additional discussion?
I had a question to the city manager. Are they going to hire them at the comparable salaries to what they were making before?
If they do hire them, they will be at the comparable salary.
And then another concern I had with the seniors, when I visited the senior center on yesterday, actually Monday, they were worried about the quality of service they would receive from them. Would it be the same service that they got from the Compton Fire, or they didn't know what kind of service they provided? Would it be the same kind of care and quality that the current Compton Fire Department gives to our seniors, because they are Compton Fire and they are Compton Ammies and they are Compton, they have the name on the shirts and on the bus and all that stuff. That's what I was asking. That's my question.
So, again, the same kind of response would be given up to the paramedics treating the patients to determine what kind of care level they require. If they require just transport to the hospital and basic life support, as it's called, meaning a judgment will be made as to the severity of the incident. And if the judgment is made that, well, they just need to go to the hospital and be put in the hands of a doctor as opposed to they need care, then yes, McCormick is prepared to transport them for basic life support services. If they need advanced life support, which is a general way of capturing all the kinds of conditions where they may need care, then the paramedics will go in the transport with the person.
And my last and final question, because a resident messaged it to me, is do we have any say-so in the length of the contract that the county or whoever awarded the contract to McCormick was the 10 years?
I believe if it's determined that McCormick does have the right, then the county has the right to set the length of time.
So I hope that answered your guys' questions that you guys have been messaging me, and I'm very sorry that this happened. End of my questions.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that each and every last one of us here are very concerned as to what has happened here, and looking forward. And I know this is very devastating for all of us because none of us really would have liked to see this happen. Unfortunately, the 10-year contract for me really does not sit well with me because it seemed to be just a long time, and I'm looking at how is that going to impact our fire department. And so I'm hoping that through this process, that we will take a very close look at the health and safety codes that they've been using, and hopefully under that we may be able to get some type of relief in regards to this 10-year contract. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, have you all been able to determine what the fiscal impact will be to the city, the fire department with the switch to McCormick? Even in the event that these employees would be hired with McCormick, do we know the difference in revenue that we'll receive?
We have an approximate, and essentially, given our fee structure the way it's currently set up, if you consider that we will not have to pay the salaries and the equipment maintenance and what have you, that the current fee structure basically it's about a break even on the transport side of it. So we're still going to get the revenues for all the other services provided. But then with the proposed increase in fees, well, we would then be able to get more revenue from that.
That's unfortunate. Any additional discussion? Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Galvane. McCoy. Yes. Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
No.
Item number 13 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Compton, amending the City of Compton's 2016-17 fiscal year budget to appropriate Measure P funds to cover costs of unfunded projects and to authorize payment of specific unbudgeted costs for existing departmental budgets.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
Galvane.
Yes.
McCoy. Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
I just want to commend either the city manager or the controller for the report. It was really easy to understand what the changes were with this format, and I appreciated it. Yes.
Item number 14, approval of warrants. Warrant number 237137, dated 12/13 for Change Foundation for graffiti removal in the amount of $8,125 requested by the city manager, and warrant number 237178, dated 12/13 for National Charter Lines bus services for for Councilperson Galvan's boxing excursion in the amount of $1,150 requested by the city manager. Warrant number 237184 dated December 13th for Karina Pleasant, DBA Cookie Gal, catering service for Senior Hoedown in the amount of $3,767.50 requested by the city manager. And warrant number 237093 dated December the 8th for Jasmine Mechanic for Public Information Officer Services in the amount of $2,500 requested by the city manager. Total amount of warrants is $15,542.50.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
on this particular item, I would like to, if we can pull one out and vote on it separately, please.
Which warrant?
The one for Jasmine. $2,500.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I had a comment about the boxing one. Oscar De La Hoya donated 100 tickets to the Compton Parks and Recs Department, and each council member has, I believe, $25,000 a year for their special events fund that we do. So we made sure that every single ticket was a kid from Compton that went. I posted videos on social media, pictures. The kids went and had a great time. They had all these signs. So that money came out of my special events fund.
Thank you, Councilman Galvan. Roll call?
I need a second.
Oh, is there a second? I'll step from the chair a second. Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita?
This is for the remaining three?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Galvan?
Yes.
McCoy? Yes. Sharif?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Warrant number 237093 dated 12/8 for Jasmine Mechanic for Public Information Office Services for the amount of $2,500 requested by the city manager.
Mr. City Manager, could you explain what this item is for, what it entailed, or what period it covered?
Yes, thank you. This is for public relations, public affairs type services. They were all provided in the month of May of this year. The contract was awarded to Jasmine County in October of last year. She provided services during the year and exceeded the amount of the contract, which was $25,000, I believe. She was requesting payment for this May services, this month of May services for $2,500. I was not able to use my authority to pay for it, and I unfortunately can't elaborate on the services in any way because it wasn't May, but it's an outstanding payment due to her, and I brought it to the council for resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Grooms.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Did you have a comment?
No, I asked if there was a motion for this particular item on the floor.
Madam Clerk?
There's no motion on the floor.
Okay.
Is there a motion on this item? I'll step from the chair to make a motion. Is there a second? Item fails for lack of second.
Item number 15 is warrant number 237228 dated December the 15th. The National Charter Lines for bus services for youth excursion, $550 requested by the city manager. And warrant number 237232 dated December 15th for Victor Sanchez, DBA Sanchez Awards for plaque for Councilperson Galvan's Miracle on Oak Street in the amount of $190 requested by the city manager. Total amount of warrants $669.90.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Councilperson Zarita?
Yes.
Galvan?
Yes.
McCoy? Yes. Sharif?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
And you're at council comments.
Councilwoman Zarita?
I'm going to yield my time to the city controller to come up and give us an update on the actions that have been taken since the embezzlement story hit.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, since we spoke about this last week, I've solicited proposals from 3 CPA firms. One firm wanted about $200,000 to do a forensic audit, so I ruled them out right away. The other one was non-responsive, and the third firm is a firm out of Los Angeles. I've spoken with the city manager about that. He's authorized under a provision in city policy that allows him to declare a situation of urgency. I'm going to meet with them tomorrow. They're coming in. The firm is Vasquez and Company. I've worked with them in the past. They're well known in Southern California. They have offices in California. A few of their partners came from big 8 CPA firms like KPMG. So they have a lot of experience, and we're hoping to kick off the forensic audit tomorrow. Tomorrow is more of a meet and greet. They'll request whatever documents they need, and then we'll provide those documents to them. But they think they can get this forensic audit completed within 3 or 4 weeks, and it could be shorter than that.
So you've hired the firm?
Yes.
The city manager has hired the firm?
Yes, we're gonna bring them in under the special provision, and then we'll come back to the city council soon with a formal, traditional agenda item and resolution to approve their contract.
So have we started any kind of internal audit?
We reviewed some of the daily transaction receipts and confirmed that there were discrepancies going back at least a couple of years. That's about as far as we've gotten on that. But I think it's a good idea actually bring in an independent audit firm to come in and do the audit. The internal staff, we're all involved in this process in the controller's office, so we did a quick look-see just to determine how far back these losses have occurred, and we've been able to determine they went back a couple of years at least.
So how far back is the forensic audit going to go? Will they determine that once they come in and look at the books?
Well, I think what they're going to do is start with the most recent activity and work their way backwards. And it could go back more than 2 years.
Do we have any electronic bookkeeping in the departments between the treasurer and the payroll?
We do. We have
controller's office?
We have a combination of manual deposit slips that are made out by the treasurer's staff, in addition to automated systems in both the treasurer's office and the controller's office. Will make those reports available to the audit team.
You say you have handwritten?
The deposit slips are prepared by hand, and they're done this way in every city.
Okay, so have we done any restructuring? And secondly, when is my report for the payroll audit going to be completed?
Well, the payroll audit is near completion. I was hoping to have it by now, but it's not quite done. We're dealing with some personnel matters here because there's personnel involved, and I would prefer not to discuss any potential reorganization plans at this time, but we're definitely looking at, in the controller's office, at strengthening the organizational structure and maybe bringing on some additional qualified accountant to plug up whatever weaknesses there may exist. So the forensic audit team, they're going to come in, they're going to take a look at all the records. They're also going to take a hard look at our processes, identify strengths and weaknesses. Where there's weaknesses, we'll get recommendations from them, and we'll follow through on those recommendations.
And I also asked for a follow-up on the recommendations that were made by the last audit. Is that ready?
That's part of what we're doing right now. Their recommendation was to strengthen the review of the daily deposits, strengthen that process in the controller's office. And so,
And there was some issues, some recommendations made about the filing process, the record-keeping process. You were going to give me a follow-up on where we are with some solutions with those recommendations from the auditor.
well, we're following up on those. Now, I have not been able to find any actual written recommendations, but the external auditor from MGO, the two partners that were here last week, they did confirm to me that in previous audits, prior audits, maybe during the process, they had made recommendations to strengthen the process in the controller's office. So I took immediate action to follow up on that.
Okay, I'd like a written report on what actions you took.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Mayor Brown?
Yes,
may I
Mr.
ask
Treasurer.
City Controller a couple of questions right quick, because there
Okay.
was a couple of people said something during the audience.
Okay.
Mr. Torres, who reviews and oversees the treasurer's deposits and activity? Who does that? Is that the controller's office or the treasurer's office?
They, well, you know, it's the checks and balances, as we know. The treasurer's office prepares the daily receipts, but the controller's office is supposed to confirm that the daily cash deposits match what's recorded on the computer system. And I would just tell you right now, that hasn't been done properly for a while. So that was one of the weaknesses that the MGO pointed out several years ago.
And you weren't here, so we're not trying to lay anything on you, but is it a good thing to say that the reconciliation of the bank statements and stuff like that haven't been done in over 2 years?
We believe that it hasn't been done daily in 2 years. I mean, we're going to have to confirm that, you know, as you know, but that's kind of what I've been told.
And would it also be good, possibly to say the last audit that the council just approved of, that the 2013 and 2014, the reconciliation probably took place somewhere in February of this year for that particular audit?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So, in essence, that the controller's office has an internal audit, or at least supposed to have an internal auditor, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay. But there may not have been any in the last couple of years or so.
Well, there's been some turnover there, as you know.
Okay.
And that didn't, that probably contributed to some of these weaknesses.
Okay. That's all I have. That's all I have.
So you asked about the internal audits in the controller's office. Are there internal audits in the treasurer's office?
When you hire a CPA firm, the controller sets the audit scope for the city because they're the chief financial officer of the city. And when they're setting the scope, they test their controls between my office and their office when reviewing the activity. The auditors come down and they ask us and they look at our reviews, they test that.
Well, I guess my question is, are there any departmental audits done in the department where all the money is collected?
What do you mean by that?
Just what it means.
Well, I can answer that question, Councilmember. We do annual cash audits, so certain departments have cash on hand, and we send staff out there to do those audits on an annual basis, and in some places more often. So we're conducting one right now of Parks and Recreation, for example, and that's just routine. That's something that the Controller's Office does from time to time.
So when was the last time the controller's office did an audit, a departmental staff audit in the treasurer's office?
You know, I don't have that information because, as you know, I just started, but I can find out for you and get back to you.
There was one, Bob, done the end of the fiscal year for June. They come down and they do an audit.
And nothing was identified, and you say you know for sure it's been at least a couple of years.
I would have to go back and take a look. In terms of the reconciliation, yeah, the department's been has lapsed in that area. They should have been doing these on a daily basis.
So then, we could go on and on. So then, to me, so whose responsibility is that? Because again, I'm an elected official. I can't get into the daily operations of the city. But you say we should have been doing daily reports. Whose responsibility is that? We have directors, we have chiefs, we have 2 chiefs, deputies. Whose responsibility is it?
You need to be specific when you talk about in the
I'm
treasurer's
talking
office.
I'm talking to the controller right now. Mr. Controller?
Well, we have an internal auditor position, and that position is responsible for conducting the daily bank reviews.
Is that position filled at this time?
It's filled at this time, yes.
And it's been filled for a while?
It's been filled, but it's been filled this year by at least 2 different people because of turnover in the controller's office. You know, last year or earlier this year, the controller, the previous controller left the city, and then the deputy
He just left. He had been here for several years.
Yeah, he'd been here
Is
for a while.
that position, the internal auditor, is that a classified position?
It's a management position.
Is it a classified position?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any additional discussion?
That was my council comments.
Councilman Galvan? Sorry, I'm on.
I do want to tell everybody to have a very Merry Christmas and Feliz Navidad.
Change the mood a little bit. You know, I want to personally thank all the residents that came out to my 4th annual Miracle on Oak Street. I believe this year was actually the best turnout I've ever had. And, you know, it was raining from about 5 o'clock on, but that didn't stop the thousands of people that attended the event and lined up all the way around the block. I want to thank the sponsors, Walmart, and my friend Oscar De La Hoya for donating all the toys for all the kids. He even came out and in the rain, and he accepted our plaques on behalf of the city. And he also posed for pictures with the residents in the rain. He went out there and he was stepping in mud and taking pictures with all of our residents. It was such a great event. I want to thank all the Parks and Rec staff. I want to thank my colleagues, Councilwoman Zarita, Councilwoman McCoy, and Mayor Asia Brown for coming out and supporting my event. They all showed up in the rain and came out and were there. And I also want to thank them for presenting a plaque on behalf of the city to Oscar De La Hoya. It was by Mayor Brown, myself, Councilwoman Zarita, and McCoy. Also, school board president, Satra Zarita, presented a plaque as well. The firemen presented with a hat and a t-shirt, which he took off his shirt and immediately put the fireman shirt on and the hat and posed for pictures with all the firemen, all the volunteers, all the residents. It was such a great event. And you know, it really touched my heart because this is the first time I had that event in the rain. Usually it doesn't rain when we have the events, but to see the people that were lined up around the block in the rain just showed the need that there is in the city of Compton. And when I was a young boy, raised by a single mom with 5 children, we stood in those lines as well. And for me as a young boy, those were the only toys that I got. So it really brought a lot of personal gratification to myself, that I was able to help make somebody's Christmas a lot brighter. And maybe some of those kids were like me when they were younger, and that was the only toy they were going to get for Christmas. So I'm very grateful to everybody for participating in the event, sponsoring the event. I want to thank all the volunteers. I know we had a lot of them. Miss Olivia Lopez was there volunteering. Delilah, who lives in the 2nd District, was also volunteering. There was so many residents from my district that support me, and they came out that day just to make sure that you know, anything I needed, they were there to help. So I want to thank all of you guys for that. I also I set up a thank you on behalf of Marvin. I'm catering a special reception for the Parks and Recs crew because they were out there in the rain working as well. So I'm sponsoring them a luncheon in the New Year's catered by King Taco, I already paid for it. I reserved it, so they're setting up the date for it right now. All the employees from the Parks and Recs that came out, and the entire Parks and Rec staff is going to go over there and enjoy a nice lunch on behalf of me to show my appreciation for them for helping out in that event. Also, today I had the privilege of attending, we did a surprise Santa visit today at Our Lady of Victory Church in Compton, and me and Mayor Brown's office, as well as Councilwoman Tana McCoy, showed up today and presented the entire school. Every kid that goes to that school got a brand new toy for Christmas today. So that was a great event. We went there, we showed up, we set it up last night, and I was very happy that my colleague, Councilwoman McCoy, was there. I know a lot of the kids were happy to see her, and the mayor sent a representative from her office as well. So it was really good. And that's what the holiday seasons are all about, is giving back, giving back to our residents, giving back to, that's what the seasons are about. And just glad that God has me in this position where I'm able to do that right now. And also want to give another thank you to the Parks and Recs again, as well as to Oscar De La Hoya for providing 100 tickets so our Compton kids could attend the fight this Saturday at the Inglewood Forum. The kids drove up in style in shuttle buses. They had good seats to the fight. Oscar, he waved to the kids when they were there, and he sent them a personal message as well. So I'm very glad that this was a great week to spread holiday cheer in the city of Compton. And I also want to give a special thank you to my liaisons, Vanessa Aguirre and to Sergio Calderon, for all their hard work in making these 3 events possible. I know sometimes we get overwhelmed with work and I never get to tell them thank you and good job. So Sergio, my man in the back, I want to tell you thank you and good job, my friend. And you truly are a blessing to the city of Compton, as is Vanessa. So on that note, I want to wish all of you guys a very Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a safe Christmas, and I hope you cherish your time with your loved ones. And I also want you guys to remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. Without him, none of this would be possible. And I want to wish you guys a safe and happy New Year. And I'm excited to come back and get back to work. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys again. And I want to wish personally Mr. Holyfield, Miss Kay, Mr. Ray, Mr. Irons, Miss Boone, Miss Kelly, all of you guys a very happy Christmas. And also, I'm going to show up to the Senior Center this Thursday, and I'm going to take coffee and hot chocolate and desserts to our seniors and make sure, that they know that I appreciate them and that, I'm here to serve them. So God bless you all, and have a good night, and God bless the great city of Compton. Thank you.
Councilwoman McCoy?
I did attend Councilman Galvan's toy giveaway, and it was pouring down rain, but it was worth standing there to watch the children who actually received the toy. You know that there's a need when people stand up in the pouring rain to get a toy. So they were thankful, they were grateful. There was no issues there except waiting to get their toy and then get something to, the other things that they had passing out. I attended 156th Street Block Club Chocolate Under the Stars. I was glad to attend. We had hot chocolate and other snacks, and it was a brainstorming. It wasn't a block club meeting, it was just a brainstorming, but I was happy to be a part of it. And Councilwoman Zarita and myself hosted the chocolate with the seniors last week, and they provided hot chocolate, and we passed out socks to them to keep their feet warm when it's cold. And I hosted Breakfast with Santa, which was a wonderful, wonderful event. I was so happy to be able to do it. I want to thank Mrs. Bluford and Ms. Kim DeLay Manning for being there as hostess with me to help service the children. They were there to get them through the lines, help them with their breakfast. They helped set up. It was just an awesome event. My sponsors were Bank of the West, Screaming Eagles Partnership, and Collaborative Partners. They provided the toys, and Bank of the West contributed for the food. Assemblyman Mike Gibson did stop by. I was happy that he did. He took the time out. I just thank him so much because he takes the time out no matter what he's doing to stop through. And I think that's the first time that we've had an assemblyman that has actually come to so many events, and we're so pleased that he's our assemblyman, and we support him, and he supports us. And Parks and Rec and code enforcement and all the other staff members, you guys were excellent. You helped us out. You did everything that we needed done. The children were happy, and I did not have one child complaining about the toys that they received. Usually, I've done this before when I was actually a staff person, and the kids would complain. Some of them, I don't want that toy. I didn't have one disgruntled kid. They came through, they got their toy, and they were happy. And so I was happy to have this event. And then I left there and went over to the Winter Wonderland, and Mayor Brown, she's, put that together really well. The children all had toys there too, and so I think with all the events that we've done, the kids should have a pretty decent Christmas. Then I attended Agape Black Club meeting on last night, and I want to thank Agape Black Club for inviting me. It's not my district, but it was a very nice Christmas event, and I was happy to be there. And then I would like to say, I just want to say, Mr. Grooms, I have complete confidence in what you do, and I trust your recommendations and all. It's just that I want to make sure that the citizens get to express to me what they would like to see happen. It has nothing to do with my trust in you. I trust you wholeheartedly, and I really appreciate everything that you've done.
Can you lend me $1?
Absolutely. I got that dollar. Oh, see, she got 50 cents on it, yes. So I thank you for that, and that's all. The only reason I just wanted to make sure that the citizens got to weigh in on what they want us to do. And Clymar Block Club is having a block club meeting on Christmas Eve at 10 a.m. at Burrell McDonald Park. At Burrell McDonald Park, and the city attorney is the guest speaker for this block club meeting. Everybody is invited to come out, and it probably will be just a short meeting because it's Christmas Eve, but everybody is still invited to come out. And finally, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Maria Garcia. She's the mother-in-law of one of our employees in the water department, and she's a Compton resident. And also Arster Nell Williams Orange, who was a long time resident in the city, passed away, and her service is tomorrow. And so I want to adjourn in memory of her also. Arster Nell Williams Orange. We got that. Wait, we did? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and do you know where the service is? You have the information? No. I didn't get the information on this. Yes, okay. Okay, so Ms. Sharif is going to give you the location of the service. And that is all that I have for today. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys after Christmas.
Councilwoman Sharif?
That's after Christmas.
Good evening. I really want to thank Ms. McCoy for her breakfast with Santa. I was there with our city manager and his granddaughter, and had a great time. I had an opportunity to watch the students, the children there receive toys. They had a great time there with Santa. And I went there to eat breakfast. So it was early in the morning. I'm like, okay, I can get up and go have breakfast this morning, early in the morning, okay. But it was really nice. And I had an angel tree giveaway at my church. And this is something we do every year. We focus on children where their parents are incarcerated. And we had about 50 children that we passed out toys to and make sure that they were able to receive gifts and everything. So I'm very happy about that. That went really well. And I really want to thank all of the members there at First United Methodist Church for their support and for making sure that that event was a great success. And I came to the Winter Wonderland this past Saturday, which the mayor and council presented Compton's Winter Wonderland at Wilson Park. And I want to thank all the vendors and sponsors, especially Republic Service, for the carnival games, the train ride and stage, city staff and the community for making this year's event a huge success. Mr. City Manager, I have a question, and could you please explain to the citizens, because people are asking me, could you please explain to the citizens and the council, what is the protocol for any business that is interested in doing business in the city? What is the process that should be followed here in the city?
If they're, excuse me, if they're interested in doing business with the city?
Yes.
This is,
Is there if they're a vendor, if they're a business, if they're some type of corporation, what is the process? Is there any protocol in place as far as them coming in, doing business with the city? I know if it's property, I know they go to Kofi, but I'm talking about other people that really want to come in and maybe do business and make contributions and donations and everything to this community, to the city. How does it really work?
well, if it's a service or a product that we intend to purchase, we would advertise for the opportunity for them to bid on to provide the service or the product. Right. Then, so if we need something, we would advertise that we need it, and they would submit a proposal or a bid. Is that along the lines of what
Well,
you're talking
sometimes there you have vendors that talk to council people and talk to the mayor and everybody. I'm just wondering, how does that work? What is the protocol? How should we be addressing that?
I think the most general answer I could give would be send them to the city manager's office, and then we can determine who can best provide answers to their questions. That's a general.
Okay, so generally they usually should be sent to your office or referred to you to the city manager's office.
Yes, in general.
Okay. The reason I wanted to ask that is because I just wanted to find out what the protocol was, because I know sometimes here in the city there's a lot of things that happen and people are asking us about it, and some of us have no idea. And I'm just wondering if it's coming through the right process, if it's going through the correct protocol to get to you so that you can let the council know what is happening. And that's why I was asking you in regards to that. And so that's something I think we need to take a look at. And in that regards, to make sure that we're all on the same page and following the same processes that's here in the city, and when it comes to different things that we're doing. And I will, Ms. McCoy already closed in the memory of Astor Neil Williams Orange, so I'm just going to give you the address into where the service will be held. And Mrs. Orange memorial service will be held on Wednesday, December the 21st, 2016 at 11 a.m. And that would be at Community Baptist Church, which is at 1155 East 148th Street here in Compton. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I just want to thank all of the volunteers, city staff, also the Black Santa Company, which is founded by Baron Davis, 400 Ways, SEIU 721, K-Day, Power 106, and all of our corporate sponsors for their contribution to our 4th annual Winter Wonderland. Fiesta Taxi, Republic Services, 7-Eleven, Prism Realty, and others. And we had a great day. We had over 2,000 toys that were distributed. We also had a snow play area for the kids, game booths, train rides, jumpers, a Battle of the Bands competition, which Dominguez High School was the winner, so congratulations to Dominguez. Also, the Dons, and also the drill team competition, the Jammin' Dominettes were also the winners. We also had a dance competition in which the Compton Divas won a trophy, and we also had the Compton Corvette Club there to represent. And we had a great day. No issues, incidents, families were blessed, and I know that some were disappointed about the Compton Christmas Parade, and so I'll be bringing the item back to establish a parade committee so that we can have a team and also allow the community members to participate in making sure that the parade is a success for next year and the years to come. And I do recognize that it's a big job to plan a parade, and so I think it'll be great to have as many people participating as possible. And also, I want to thank my colleagues. I saw Councilwoman Zarita come out, Councilwoman McCoy, and also Councilwoman Sharif, and Councilman Galvan also came out to participate in the Winter Wonderland. Also on December 14th, the Compton My Brother's Keeper leaders made a visit to the White House to hear President Obama discuss the future plans for the My Brother's Keeper initiative after his presidency. Compton was selected. We were one of the 15 of the 250 cities that accepted the challenge in the last convening, and the My Brother's Keeper Alliance will be the President's Legacy Project, and Compton will continue its efforts to expand access and opportunity for young boys and men of color. Some of the programs that will be launched this year is a STEAM program, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and also in partnership with tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum. So there will be an aviation component. We'll also be launching a Saturday Science Academy in the fall that will bring our students from the STEAM program into a Saturday component. And we also have American Airlines, also one of our partners. They'll be actually teaching aviation training at tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum for people, for young people within our program, so that they can actually take the jobs of the baby boomers that are now going to be retiring. And these aviation careers earn six-figure salaries for mechanics. And so this is going to be a great partnership. We also have lots of corporate sponsors that are on board to fund some awesome programs for the summer. So we'll request that some of our My Brother's Keeper committee members come to make a presentation at the beginning of the year about all the programs, achievements, and the plans for the future. But the most important part was that there are a host of funders that have already committed to the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, and the whole point of launching the competition was for those cities that accept the challenge and that perform, they'll be selected to actually utilize the now upwards of $750 million that have been pledged toward these efforts. So we'll keep everyone posted, and we'll continue to be vigilant in making certain that our kids have opportunities for their lives. And today I had an opportunity to take a tour of the Southwest Carpenters Training Center near Rose Hills, and they have some awesome programs. They actually have a Brother's Keeper program that takes people from the community into a 2-week training program, and 75% of those people that actually get through the training are placed in construction jobs. And I had an opportunity to meet 6 of the graduates of the program that are currently working. They actually were on site to do some of their mandatory training, and 2 of those people were actually Compton residents, and one of the trainers, he's also a Compton resident. And so we'll be bringing some items forward for the council to consider for training in the city of Compton, not only for the construction projects that will be available in the city, but also those that are available in the region through all of the economic development that's occurring. So I'll continue to keep everyone posted on those efforts. Just in news and updates, this week President Obama granted clemency to 231 inmates, the most acts of clemency granted in a single day by any president in this nation's history. So big congratulations to all those that have been pardoned, and also a big thank you to President Obama for making history with those efforts. And just a quote to leave you all with before my holiday cheer is, Shirley Chisholm, who was one of the amazing women of the 60s, an activist. She was a congresswoman, and she was also one of the first woman to run for president. And so she is a historic figure. And one of the favorite quotes that I have that she has said is, "You do not make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." So just something to think about as we consider what type of leaders that we want to be. I always look to those that have come before me to get inspiration. So Shirley Chisholm's legacy lives on, at least with me. And I want to wish everyone a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, a beautiful New Year. May your latter be better than your former. I'm looking forward to 2017. I expect great things for the city of Compton and also for the families that live here. And I just want to thank all of the city staff for all of their hard work over this year. We've had a tough one, but I'm looking forward to brighter days, and also to the residents that have stood in there as we've kind of gone over some bumps and bruises, and to all the leaders. I see many commissioners that are here in the audience and that are dedicated to serving the city of Compton. We thank you for your time and also for your insight. And to all of the community leaders that come out week after week, we appreciate you, your input, your constructive criticism. It's really about getting the best ideas forward so that we can move our city forward. And it's been an honor, a pleasure, and an adventure to serve as your mayor. So thank you all for the opportunity. And I look forward to seeing you all after the holiday. And we will close or recess in the memory of Howard Bingham, Miss Maria Garcia, and also Mrs. Morris. And did I leave any others out? Miss Orange, thank you. And Mrs. Orange, thank you, Councilwoman McCoy. And we will now recess into closed session. May we have a motion? We have to close this first.
So moved. Okay. Second.
Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
McCoy. Yes. Sharif.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Successor. Yeah, it's scheduled.
They report out from the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council. The entire City Council met in closed session under two items: public employment, title City Manager pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957. B, in conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, one potential case for discussion pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9B. No reportable action taken in either matter, and that concludes the report out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. May we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Roll call.
Councilperson Zarita.
Yes.
McCoy. Yes. Sharif.
We're adjourning
We're adjourning
The
council
council
meeting.
the council meeting. Oh, yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes. It is Tuesday, December 20th, 2016, 10:23 p.m., and we will now convene the successor agency meeting. Roll call.
Director Zarita.